bitches.
That feels like a good place to start. The music just suddenly stopped being so hectic. I still need to open my game, so if you'll pardon me for a moment. How's everybody doing? It is only Tuesday today. Fuck off. I was shut up, Jargon. Also, hi. Jargon, of course, Jargon's here. Hi, Kay. How are you doing? And Yaku. Hello. New hair, don't care. 100%, yes. Handies. I have new hair every day. What was I doing? Okay, that's Discord. Just opening my game. I'm a Lego person. Snap off old, put on new. Actually, yeah. I shouldn't close my door quick and actually get my drink because I forgot to do that. I don't know where my water bottle is. It's somewhere in the house. So I know I just started, but I'm gonna throw you guys on the BRB screen. And I'll be back now. Weapon? No, we don't do weapon banner in this house. Weapon banner is disappointment. So no.
Make the ground shake.
I'm miserable right now. This is impressive and not in a good way. I agree, but I just got one now, so maybe I should be thankful. Okay, now another one. That's not him. That's also not him. That's especially not him. That is a bow. That is not a dog boy. That is also not a dog boy. This is disappointment. I'm gonna go ugly cry. This is a cat! Ah!
This is so cute.
Yeah, so if I become a VTuber, maybe this needs to be my little character. Oh my goodness,
clip's so
you have
dumb.
to make another now.
I want to delete it.
So don't kill him. Yeah. Probably.
Okay, hold on, wait, I'm not done yet. I'm gonna open up the caption thing, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna be worth it. I don't know. How can you say such a thing? It is a dumb clip. What do you mean, sir? Alright, guys. Enjoy the captions. Whether or not they do anything for anyone, I don't know, man. I still need to try out another one. There's one is a manic streamer sent me. But I haven't tried it out yet. So I'm gonna at some point try. You know, when I actually have electricity during the day. The only thing that sucks about it is I need to have Chrome open. My computer's gonna explode. Also, hi, Cupcake! The Puss himself. Easy second. Oh yeah, I heard that when I was in the kitchen. I was like, who redeemed that as soon as I got up? Just redeems it. How you doing, Cupcake? Weird. I don't think I have Weird Champ. So even if you spelt it correctly, I wouldn't show the emote. So don't worry. You're fine. We're going with a classic today. I fucking love this shit. The Puss, I'll change my name to the Hello Puss Cupcake. You know what? I wouldn't do that if I were you, because I feel like that would cause some issues. I fucking love this shit, man. It's so tasty. Okay. The music looks really loud again, but you guys will just let me know if it's blasting, because the playlist does this, so like I can never really tell. Also, I have a really cute shirt on today. It says, live fast, eat trash. It's got a trash cat and a trash panda on it, and I fucking love it. It sparks joy, let me tell you. Yeah, I'm doing good though. I'm sad it's only Tuesday though. Like, fuck. Sorry, live fast, eat trash. Is that better? Did I say it right? Gotta go fast. Fast as fuck, boy! Anyway. Thank you, Spec! How are you doing? You love Lucozade? I don't remember the last time I had one. Listen, it's only because Ray started buying them recently, and he's like, hey, do you want a Lucozade? And I was like, okay. And then, yeah. The love story began. I don't like the Caribbean flavor so much, and I don't know if there's other flavors, but the apple one is so fucking tasty. It reminds me so much of the apple fizz pop, of which I have a packet sitting on my table. So yeah, it's really fucking good, man. Did I do any of this event? Because I said I didn't. I said yesterday, I was like, oh, I guess I can start it, and then I just didn't. Anyway, I'm gonna do that today, I guess. Also, Spec, I don't know if you are around tomorrow, but I was thinking we were gonna do boss kills on Swim tomorrow. Provided I'm streaming, I should be. You never know with SCOM though. Just a warning. But yeah, that's the plan at least. So basically, as soon as everyone, if I can gather all the cats together, then we can do it. It's you, me, Jargon, and then Bubble or Yoda. I don't know about Mao. We haven't helped him yet, just because he's on a lower world level. But like, I always offer anyway. You're trash? Yeah? He wants to be eaten. Oh no. Yeah, Jargon's just pointing it out. You're the one who actually said it. So like, shame on you. Bad Cupcake. Alright, so we're gonna kick off with dailies. Jargon, even though I was thinking of doing artifacts, even though we have ingenuity today, it's gonna take us so long to farm up for Nahida anyway, so it doesn't matter. Nabibbles! Hello, hello, how are you? Can you magically make it Sunday? Wait, why do you want it to be Sunday? Also, speaking of Sunday, which has got nothing to do with what I'm about to tell you, I want to have my drinking stream this Saturday, and I need to advertise it. I need to tell people about it. I am going to be drinking on Saturday nights. There's gonna be goals. I need to go over them again, but there's gonna be goals. Not for drinking, because you're not allowed to incentivize drinking on Twitch. I'm just gonna be drinking, but y'all get to... You get to do like stupid things. You get to like make me wear stuff and do all kinds of silly things. So yeah, that's happening on Saturday. Provided I have electricity and I don't get sick again and the gods don't flood the earth, because honestly it feels like everything is just against me these days. I've been trying to do this fucking drinking stream since before September, so like, fuck. All the hat redeems, there's actually going to be a special one, Cupcake. I'm not doing hats at the moment, and I actually need to put the ear one back on. Because I am able to now. But yeah. I'm looking forward to drinking. I've got my booze is in my cupboard behind me. You can't really see, but this cupboard, there's a lot of booze in there. I've got 4 bottles of soju. I don't know if I'm gonna drink it all, but yeah, we're gonna see. Cupcake. I like that. But I'm doing good, Nabibbles. I'm doing good. What else did I miss? Hi, Prime Minister! Damn near pooped myself there. I am available for the game to basically fart in my mouth. God, Jarkin, what the hell? Your girlfriend has a swimming race, so you're going with? Oh, on Sunday? That's pretty cool. Going to be an interesting time to watch. Yeah, listen, I don't drink a lot, so yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna drink, but I fucking love that shit. I get the plum flavor. Oh, it's so tasty. You're getting a very special bottle of gin soon. Ooh, sheesh. Man, I haven't had gin in ages. Since I discovered soju, I'm like, bye. For everything else, bye. It's super tasty. I drink that shit straight. It's fine. Got some weird kinks. It's against your will. Oh, at the mouth farts? Cool. How are you doing, Prime Minister? I don't think we missed the ayaya, to be fair. But yeah. It's good to see you. How are you doing today? Cupcake has all the drinks, yeah? Is Cupcake a boozy? A boozy man? A party of cupcakes? Oh, hell yeah! What have you got for me, Cupcake? Okay. Yeah, so the game's gonna fart in our mouths just now, but let me go do my dailies first, because Lord knows I'm gonna have the wrong team on and forget if I don't do it now. You're gonna be in your shadows? No worries, Spec! Wait, is Spec streaming? Because the last time Spec said that he was actually streaming. Motherfucker. I only found out afterwards. I was like, the audacity. He was streaming and he didn't say nothing. I'm actually not looking for anyone at the moment, so I can open a couple tabs while I'm here. There's one. Oh, there's another. Let's see. And I haven't been able to watch this one for a while. He does that he does! Sneaky fuck. These are people. I know self-plugging is like kind of like a thing in my channel. Like I ask people not to. But you know, there's some situations. People I know, friends. I started streaming at the same time as Spec. And then he took a break for a little while. Wait, your what has died? Your other screen? But yeah, sorry to hear that, Spec. And yeah, I'm glad to hear that you got a replacement. That's fantastic. You're doing good, Bramiester. Fantastic. Whenever I read your name, my Afrikaans is really bad. And I try my best, but I'm always just like, I'm probably saying this wrong. Bibble's just throwing around stamens? Yeah? Does he work with plants? Ain't no party like a cupcake party, because a cupcake party don't stop. Oh shit! You better prepare yourself, Cupcake, because I need like a corner to sleep in because I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I drink a little bit and then I get sleepy. Oh, it was your other monitor. Oh man, sorry to hear that, Spec. But yeah, I have two nicer screens. I got one a little bit more recently. It's a Philips. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's really nice. Then I have an older Dell one that I really loved for a long time. And then I have one, I swear it's like 15 years old or something. This thing's old as the fucking hills, but it's like my Discord / chat / Spotify, whatever the fuck I've got open. It's my like extra screen that's like portraits, not landscape. And if I just have one screen, it's sad, so yeah. Restart the stream? Wait, why? Because Mao is late? Mao, why are you late again? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mao. You don't mind how people pronounce it? I'm glad. I know you said Timo Timo wasn't sure about saying your name. He calls me Tato after I've told him many times to call me Tato. At this point, I've just made peace with it. I'm just like, whatever, man. Whatever floats your goat, you know. It's fine. This is okay. Also, if I've missed any messages, guys, just shout. Who is Philippe? What? Some people think I'm Llama. I mean, it's in your name. Tehe? Tehe Llama? Tehe Llama? It's there. You were eating dinner, Mao? How dare you? How fucking dare you? You're looking at Philippe? Wait, what? My wallpaper is literally Milo, so I don't know. Is that her new name? Is that her English name? We'll make you a comfy corner. The doggers will even join you. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, the monitor! Oh my god. I want to die now. Sorry. It's true, though. That is the middle one. It's the nice one. The newer one. The only llama that isn't llama? Yeah, this one's Tehe Llama. I think the first time I read your name, I tried to read llama as well, so yeah. Thank you, Nibibbles. I wasn't picking up what you were putting down, but it's okay. We got there eventually, right? Alright, so Friendship Squad, go. Also, I don't approve of what you said there, Cupcake. Ooh, is that this woman? She wants a picture again. Eat and hydrate and sleep. You can always watch my VOD. You can always watch later. I have what is it called? Prime whatever, blah blah shit. So my VODs stay up forever. Go eat your food, go get some sleep, go for a walk, do whatever you need to do. Go study, go do your work. Whatever it is. That's number one. You can come say hi later. Oh wait, why am I reading this? Fuck this shit. She just wants me to take a picture. The last time I did this thing, I took a nice picture of her, and now I'm just like, fuck this. Tehe Llama, see you pea cake. That's kinda strange. Do I have to equip? I never remember how to do this. Do I have to equip my camera? Bitch! I know you not made me equip my camera for this shit. Come on, man. Why you gotta be like this? What? Did that count? Oh my god. Wait, is that really how I do it? Ah! This is fun. Wagon? It would be closer to say wagon though, because it's more like joggin'. Joggin' the wagon. Okay, I'm bending it a little bit more than it should be bent. The fact that it hasn't snapped in half yet is quite amazing, but imagine someone comes into chat and we're just calling each other weird fucking names and no one knows what's going on. You're just replacing? Bargain? Ah! Yeah, that one works. Hmm. Did I make my posts though? I think I made my... Okay, I definitely did the Twitter one. I love when you take a picture or you like take a selfie and then you close the app, but like you don't close it, you just kind of like minimize it. Then when you scroll through like your open apps, there's like it's almost like a snapshot of when you closed it. So it's always you like looking down at your phone. You know, like those accidentally open my front camera pictures. So yeah. Nail? Mayo Karma? I love... Okay, as much as I hate people calling me NATO, I love when people misread other people's names. Because I just sit there like, how the fuck did you get there? A while ago, some people were renaming to fun rhymes. And I considered becoming jargon for a bargain. You could literally make a... Why is this music so loud? You could literally make an alt with that name. And it would work because it would be like the budget jargon. What is this? Oh, it's Eula's birthday today. Happy birthday, Eula. I don't have you as a character, but, you know. Nice pie. Brew. Nathaniel. It's just a couple letters away. It's just a couple letters away, actually. Well, that's so funny. Fuck. Okay, what was I actually doing? Because I got very distracted. Dailies, yeah? Okay. Did I change my team? I did, but Dory's dead. Just poor girlie. She's got like she's got literally no health. So whenever she gets a revive food, it instantly heals her. Because the amount that the food heals is more than her actual HP, which is ridiculous. Nethertinal? It's getting worse and worse. Oh, I wanted to check friendship as well. Please don't shield up, you stinky bastard. Ah, can I get... You stinky bastard. How dare. The sheer audacity of these factory men. Geen scam. None of them. Not a single drop of shame between any of them. Wah! Whoop! Give me energy, you bitch. Chinari's, his damage is so low when he's not doing his Dendro attacks. 37. What was it? Was it Dory doing 37 damage? I saw Bubble's name somewhere. Am I going mad? Oh no, there's Bubble. Whenever we call Nat a weird name, she threatens to ban us. Of course! This is my stream, my chat, my rules. That's how this works. Let's see. The Possessed Kiwi? That is an adorable name. Hello, welcome. we were playing a game with kiwis in the other day, like as in the animal, not the fruit. It's Bubble Studio. Okay, it's your studio today, Bubble. Nathaniel. Okay, so Nabil is Nathaniel now. I'll try and remember that. You've decided to pull Fatadi? Fuck yeah. Mao, start farming your artifacts now, please, and thank you. Also, if you need his seashells, they're like all over here, basically. This like these little beaches. These beaches. You can also come steal mine if you want. You're in a slump? Sorry, Mao Mao. can message me if you want laters. If you want to talk about it. Can't promise I'll have any good advice though. Can you please do that fucking domain for eternity? I need Ayaka gear. Oh, do you? Listen, it's in the boxes. Go get it out of the box, man. Don't make me do that domain again. You know I'm depressed enough. But you can do it with Mao. You have enough of his seashells, you started farming. Ah, you're farming all his other shit? Nice! Ugh, not this guy again, fuck. Hi! Can I call you Snow? Hi. You don't have things to trade in? Oh shit, okay. I mean, fair. Yeah, I got... Tatalia was my first banner character. Yeah, so I've had him since God was a child. I still have shit artifacts on him. But this is fine, you know. Okay, these are dailies I'm not gonna read. I've done this once before. Snow is fine? Alright, perfect. How are you doing today, Snow? Okay, so the last time I did this, I didn't like read the instructions that the doctor gave me. So I just gave the guy some like fucked up shit. You retired your C2 Toddy. Oh, you use a maloot? It's because you live so close to Canada. Nathaniel's ignoring you. The Dam City. Unbelievable. There's bibbles. Nathaniel and the bibbles. Wait, he didn't give the instructions yet. Hi! And add a starshroom, okay. High flame, low flame, deepens in color. Just, oh, he writes it down? Oh my god. Okay, I didn't know that. You need to do your Aranara quest? Oh, Snow, I'm so sorry to hear that. I think I'm done with it. But I'm also not sure. What was it? Starshroom, high flame, low flame. And then something else at the end. Fuck. Shit. Crap. Ah! The PTSDs. Yeah, Jargon's gonna switch it off again if you guys spam. Well, I say you guys, but we all know it was my son that was the one doing the spamming. Shame, he apologized so many times yesterday. I felt so bad. I mean, he's generally a good boy. Generally behaves himself, but he does enjoy spamming, so that's his only crime. Starshroom, high flame, low flame, and then something. The last one. I don't remember what the last one was. Okay, Starshroom, I almost clicked mint. High flame and then low flame. Until the soup deepens in color. Yes, and then there was something else. Oh, was that the last? Yeah, deepens in color. Okay, I remembered it when I read it, but I couldn't remember it without seeing anything because my brain just doesn't work that way. Thanks, guys. You spammed it once? Is it spam if you only do it once though? Surely spam is like multiple times and like an annoying amount of multiple times? Long story short, been a hectic few days. Might be moving to Cape Town. Sheesh, fam! Okay, that's kind of exciting though. Is it for work? Job opportunity? There's no... Why is this guy by himself? Is it to get down? Or to get up from when you're down? I don't remember what the fastest route to this place was. Those tumbleweeds gave me a fright. But yeah, that's really exciting. I'll be moving to Cape Town next year sometime. I think May. April, May? Something around there. All I know is that I'm missing fucking Cape Town Comic Con. I'm so pissed. Because the timing is so close. Loophole, I didn't spam. you know we love our loopholes, hey? Let's see. Man, this desert's so fucking huge. Give me a fucking Spider-Man. The hell, man? Jargon's also moving to Cape Town? Sheesh. Yeah, come with Mal. Same work, just being closer to support structures. Ah. Yeah, I mean, that's basically why we're moving, because well, my boyfriend does remote work, but they want him to be closer just if he needs to come in for anything, so yeah. Move to Cape Town. Man, I feel like we haven't looked at it in a while because of Sky's health, but the cost of moving to Cape Town, like moving an animal, in particular an older animal, is cock expensive. Like, damn, bitch. So, but we're also a bit worried about moving Sky because he's old, so we don't want to just like any silly billies do it, you know? Dory's 9 damage, single digit damage, 10 out of 10. Who's in the Cape? I don't know about the people here, but me and Epic Bubble will be moving next year. Yeah, boy! Oh, look at the moon! That's so pretty. Damn! The desert is insane, actually. Oh, you're in the Cape, Spec. Okay. 10 out of 10? More like 9 out of 9? What do you mean, Mal? Am I dumb? Did I miss something? So we had set up. You love the ocean? You don't have that kind of money? Yeah, it's quite expensive. And we're trying to like gauge like, do we... Why are all the things so far away from waypoints? God damn. The desert is ass. It's so big. It's fucking huge, mate. Oh, Jesus, that was loud. Just putting my phone on charge and it's like, hello! It's me! Motherfucker. I'm just gonna do this quick. Jargon, are you... Eh? Okay, I thought so. I was like, floating particles. Something doesn't seem right there. Please don't let it bamboozle me and then suddenly there's a hole in the floor. Like just before you get to the last one. The floor disappears. Oh my god. That would have been really funny, but thankfully not the case. You need a mount? I agree. Definitely. For the desert? And this is not even all of the desert either. This is like half or a third? I'm not fighting these guys. For what? I don't need to. Bye, guys. Okay, that's all my dailies done. I just want to go turn this in, and then Jargon and I can do domains. Your legs are the mount? Oh my god, noob. How could you say that? How dare you? How dare you spit facts in this chat? Unbelievable. Yeah, you do have to. You do have to do a lot of fucking running in this desert. And there's gonna be like, I think there's gonna be a lot more. Insert energy drink sponsorship message. Yeah, Lucasade! Please, your color even matches my stream. Look at that, it's beautiful. Tis a match made in heaven. You match Walter as well. Oh, I can ask Catherine questions now. That's interesting. They're trying to force Sayu and Yelan teams. Yeah. Just make it Sayu, Yelan, Mona, and Kokomi. Not Kokomi. Ayaya. Just the hyper mobile desert exploration squad. Basically. It's my favorite flavor of Lucozade. Not too partial to the other ones, but this green one, the apple flavor, oof. Reminds me of the apple fizz pop. I had a cherry fizz pop today though. It's so tasty. Alright, Oh, let me make condensed. I tried to make condensed earlier after I'd already been capped for a while and I was like, oh, I should have done this earlier. But, yeah. It was clearly too late to get an extra one, but it's okay. It's fine. Surely you say Monster? Red Bull has more money. Yeah, I feel like as a person with a weak heart, I would have to go with something that has a little bit less caffeine in it. So for me personally, I would go for Lucozade. Because I only drink like one of these a day. No, not even. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But it's got like a third of the caffeine that that Monsters have. And I got a shitty heart, so I have to be careful. Red Bull is dead. Wait, that's the founder. Wait, what? Hmm? Eh? Can join when you're ready, Joggin. I can switcheroo. You have an energy drink like once a month? Damn! No, I'm a sleepy bitch. I need it a lot more frequently than that. I always forget what team we take in here. Red Bull's founder died a couple of days ago? No, that's not something to make jokes about! Unless they were a terrible person, in which case, you know, that's fine. Fucking Bimby, mate! Copycat! Look! Copy pasta! Man's got no originality, he's just copying my comps here. Don't know who this fucking nerd is. You need to go? Alright, no worries, Snow. Take care. Copy this one. Eat a dick, Joggin. Take care, Snow. Ah, GG's, Hassan. Are you gonna behave yourself today? Have you got a bad ticker? Yeah, Llama. I'm anxious as fuck, so... when I have too much caffeine, I get heart palpitations, so... It's a combination of stress and caffeine together, you know, like the fusion in Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, but it just makes my heart go wonky, so I need to be careful. You're a sleepy bitch too, but fuck it. Oh, man. You have an enlarged heart, and your adrenal glands also enlarged, so my heart rate skyrockets? Oh my goodness, so you need to be super careful then, Spec. I'm just anxious. I'm just very anxious. I was just bound this way, unfortunately. You want to join, Spec? So we're doing the domain for the new sets. If you want to join, you can. You are welcome to. But, not too sure what comp will do. Maybe you can just join? How's the tato doing? I'm doing good, Hassan. How are you? How are you feeling now that you're 19 years old? You're old. You're so old, Hassan. Insomnia is no joke. Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, I just have trouble sleeping. I don't have insomnia, but yeah. Sorry to hear that. That's really rough. Are you sure? Like, you can join. It's just the domain for the... I don't know how to show you. It's just the domain for the new artifact. So if you need, you can join. We might just need to shuffle around the comp. Are you sure? Like, I really don't mind. It's just because I use Yai Miko, so I wouldn't want to bring her. I would have to maybe bring Ayaka instead, just for the cryos. Let's see. Chris! As long as you avoid all that stuff, you're good. Yeah, so Llama, basically what I do is I just manage my state. So if I know that I'm feeling very stressed or like whatever, I just won't have coffee. I won't have energy drinks. For a while, I was having heart palpitations very frequently and I was very worried. So I didn't have any coffee. I didn't have any energy drinks. I was just like, no, until I overcome whatever stress I'm apparently going through at the time. Because I wasn't stressed about anything. And it was so frustrating because I just wanted coffee. Because it tastes good. Thank you, Praviesta. Yeah, so like, I just manage. I just manage with whatever I'm feeling. If I feel like I'm okay, I'll have... Hey, yo! Eh? I can't read that. And apparently neither can the text-to-speech. Hi, Puggy, how are you doing? 14 months? Damn. Yeah, but as long as I manage the anxiety and the caffeine, then I can have both at the same time and not have heart palpitations. So I just need to be careful. Oh my gosh. You've been dealing with it since you were 14? Damn. Do the thing? Okay, we're gonna do the thing. I see Jargon's spamming fucking emotes over here, little ding dong. Anyway. How you doing, Puggy? I keep forgetting. Are you off on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Puggy? Binby is going to ice me. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Binby is the least intimidating person. Okay, how do I get out of here? There we go. He's the least intimidating person. Oh, is it Thursdays and Fridays? Why did I think it was Wednesdays and Thursdays? That's fine though. You give off a pretty chilled, laid-back vibe. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Dying on the inside though. No, I'm joking. I'm fine. What are these artifacts? Oh! God damn it. You want coffee now, Cupcake? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, did I miss anything else? Peggy, what did you say? Because there's kanji in there that I can't read, and I'm like looking at it, like trying to figure out. Is there nya at the end? I can't read that. I need to. Ah, I saw the Y, but I couldn't remember which Y it was. Oh man. That's fine. I was actually thinking about it recently because I'm actually finally better again and I can laugh without coughing. I can breathe easily and stuff. So I'm just like, this is fine. So I want to start, either I get up earlier and I study in the morning, or I stay up a little bit later and study in the evening. One of the two. I need to start doing that again. Ah, darkness! Oh, more darkness. Okay. Oh, fuck. I'm done with this shit. Let's see. You gonna make coffee? make some coffee for the class, please, Cupcake. And if I missed any other messages, sorry. I am trying to, like... I have, like, 2 different chats open. The one I can scroll on, the other one is just showing everything. Just before... Your backbones are cracking, Hassan. What the fuck? Yeah, okay. I think I am caught up. Cool. Cool. No sugar, no milk! Whoop! Look at all those numbers. Bimby asked me the other day, he's like, what did you change? And I was like, nothing. Because for some reason we started killing things faster, and I was like, nah, bruh. You going back to study? No worries, Hassan. Ugh. Ugh. This could be worse, but it definitely could be better. It's okay, one more. No milk, you might as well suck on a tea bag. That's the thing, it's coffee though. So yeah, I don't like tea without at least milk. I don't have sugar really in tea or coffee, but milk definitely for tea. I'm always so sad when I'm sick because I'll have tea without without milk. And all the joy is sapped from my life when that happens. Yeah, fucking Bimby asking me if I changed anything because we're killing things so quickly. I'm like, nah, bro, I didn't change nothing. He must have changed something. Can't believe I've got absolutely shat on there. God. Chatting to our Japanese staff friends and an elderly Starbucks barista. Oh, that's so sweet, though. But I find, like, reading the kanji... Oh, man, it's so difficult. Like, because my listening skills are better than my reading skills, which is the opposite way that people typically learn, because in school you'll learn reading and writing and then you learn speaking and listening later. But my listening skills far outweigh literally all of my other skills. So like it's really frustrating because if I look at something, I might not recognize it, but as soon as I hear it spoken, I'm like, oh yes, I know what this means. It's very annoying. How do you take your tea, llama? Llama, llama, here's a llama, there's a llama, and another little llama. Fuzzy llama, 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 duck. I think I'm done for artifacts. I'm gonna go cry now. God damn it. My sadness is immeasurable and my day is ruined. We raided someone, was it yesterday? We raided someone yesterday, and so I was chatting to the streamer. Thanks, Bimby! Fucking Bimby! Thank you. I was just chatting to the streamer saying like, oh yeah, I'm ready for Nahida. I'm not guaranteed. I have like 2 petty, but I've got lots of stuff saved up. And then one of the viewers in his chat was having like a pissing contest with me. I was like, mate, I'm not here for you, but you know, thanks for engaging with me, I guess. I was just... I was like, cool. Fuck. You like milk and coffee, but you can drink it black. Yeah, I actually got used to black coffee. Because like for 2 weeks now, I haven't been able to drink coffee with milk in it. So I was just like, well, fine. Fuck kanji entirely. It's worse when you have to learn the actual kanji. Man. Don't you want to help me with that domain on the top of Dragonspine? Yes? Do you want to do it now, Mal? Are you available now? I can come help. Oh, I got an achievement. Ignore that random plus. You're busy cleaning. That's fine. I just ignored it anyway. I was like, I do that all the time where I'll just like randomly like press the wrong key. It's normally when I'm typing. Oh, help him make the prescription correctly. See how I didn't make it properly the last time. Missed out on an achievement. You're on PS4, so you can't type. Oh, teehee. Can I join as well? Yeah. So we're joining on Mao. Because his world level's lower. When you gonna rank up, Mao? You've been 45 for years now. It's time. What? You're already in co-op? I can't join you? Oh wait, is it because I am still in multiplayer? I hate this. Your bitch ass. Your bitch ass loves a vanilla cappuccino. Listen, so this is gonna sound weird. Guys, please don't say anything weird. But nut-flavored coffees, so like hazelnut or there's a honey nut one from Woolworths. Fucking love it. It's so good. You can join as well, Spec. So Mal put his ID there. So if you wanna, you can just add him as a friend, and then join. Like I'm never saying that you can't join. I'm just saying like you would just need to join on his world. So you might need to add him as a friend first. What? I love nuts. I do. Who doesn't love nuts though? Besides those that are allergic to them. But yes, the honey nut one from Woolworths is one of my favorite coffees to have. And then I think it's Seattle. I think Seattle does a hazelnut. Seattle does hazelnut, and then Woolies does honey nut. It's so good, man. I'm meh on nuts. Some okay, some not. Fair enough, I guess. What is this domain again? I always forget. Fuck, it's been so long. Is the jargon joining? I think, did he log off maybe? Oh, there we go. It's Big Iceman and Ice Mage. Oh, okay. I'm gonna bring my Xiangling then. Because she big slapper. She doesn't do much besides that. But I don't think I have... I can bring Benny Balkan, I guess, but he also doesn't really do much outside of his... He's a support character, so... I could bring Diluc, I guess. Oh, yeah, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna bring her. You put the fire out? Oh my god, you're gonna kill us, dude. You knob. Yeah, you can bring Diluc, yeah. Binby's actually trying to kill us. Kick him. Kick him out. Where's my waifu? This domain is a bunch of electro stuff. But if you get superconduct, you get damaged. Oh wait, what? Electro. Are we at the wrong one? I've become obsessed with caramel coffee recently. That sounds nice as like a treat, but I feel like, because I don't like sweet coffee like too often. I guess depends if you have a sweet tooth, then that's fine, I guess. How often do you get Starbucks, Puggy? Alright, yeah, I guess we can go in and see what it's like. Cause, yeah, I thought this one was... You will call me anyway? Yeah, that's fine, I think. Vape them, bitches. I thought this one was, ice. So yeah, I won't bring Electro for superconduct. Alright, sorry. I'm not used to not being the leader. My bad. You need to grind this game? Yes! My whole plan for Genshin today didn't happen since I'm lazy as fuck. You just gotta do it though. If you just get it done. Look at us with our matching pet though. Mama's still loading. Effort? Yeah. But play it on if you don't wanna like get up and play it on your phone. Once a week? Okay, that's not too bad. You bought a little sachet. Oh, you bought a little sachet of Starbucks caramel latte? And you have one every day? Ah! Well, you know, that's probably saving you some money, so that's good. Hello! Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, my Shangling doesn't really do much damage outside of welcome to the house of mouth farts. Ow! Why is this douche canoe attacking me? Yeah, I'm gonna attack your friend. Come here. Itai! Pain. Wah! Thought I was gonna die there. This is fine. Your phone can't run Genshin. Cheap mid-range. Okay, I'm not gonna redeem because I don't need. I'm just here for the lols. Hopefully the people who are redeeming get good shit. Look at us, we're matching petal. We all got the little birdies. You were going to watch Bleach and play Genshin. Didn't happen. Wait, you didn't even watch Bleach? Man, I keep seeing Moose keeps posting One Piece things on their Instagram story, and I'm just like, ah. I want to watch One Piece again. It's literally been years. You procrastinate? Oh my goodness. What did you... Maybe I shouldn't ask. I was gonna say, what did you actually do today, but... I ain't your mama. Ow. Stinky. Stinky. Shangling's iframes are really good because it's actually really easy to see when she's casting. Oh, I threw Gorba out the stage. Ah, shit. I'm stuck. Ah. Man, playing support damage is hard. This is tough work. Trying not to die. Man, the ER in this spot is good. That's some good shit, yo. You want to watch Bleach, but you got distracted? Oh, that was close. After gym, you were dead for over an hour. Well, you know what? You're a step ahead of me because I don't even go to gym, so it's okay. What's poppin'?
Don't mind me just watching.
Thank you, Buggy. Are you still cleaning your keyboard? Thank you for the lurkies. And no worries. Are we done, Mao? Is that it? You just abandoned us? We just left? Someone left the domain? Oh, I think it was someone must have been Spec then. Alright. I can go some more. Herding cats? Yeah, definitely. If you told me 3 years ago I'd be going to gym, I would have laughed at you. Who ran away? Well, I left because two other people left, so that's why I left. We go again? No, it's fine, Spec. I just, because I hadn't redeemed anything, everyone was leaving. It was just me and Binby standing there like a bunch of chumps. And I was just like, okay, this is my life now. I'm gonna bring Hazel, actually. Cha-chang! You're going to make Halloween? Halloween, thanks for the kitties. Make one for me, please, Puggy. Please and thank you. She was making really cute little, like goodie bags for her kids. I want one also. Please and thank you. Yuanfei is one of your strongest? Ah, nice. I was salty because of her, because she just refused to come home. So I was like, okay, fine. I didn't want to have you anyway. And I just haven't built her. Please taste my jellyfish. What the fuck, Joggin? You can't just ask people to taste your jellyfish, mate. Especially in public like this. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, maybe my Shanglengadeng was a bit more vital than I thought. For them shields, them stinky shields. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna die. Wow. Yeah, I think my my struggling does a lot more slapper than I thought. Why does the guy keep targeting me though? What the fuck? Can you not? Can you hit someone else for a change? That would be pretty cool of you. Bro. Bro! What has he got against Hazel? For real. He's like, fuck your character in particular. Every time, bro. God. Oh wait, I'm not doing. Has anyone gotten anything yet? Did Spec leave again? It does take a little getting used to be fair, because if you're not used to the if you're not used to doing debates with other people and you aren't leading the thing, you kind of just like out of habit you just like click the thing and it kicks me out. Sorry to hear you're getting bad stuff though. Hi Yoda! How you doing? Are we go again? I think we have to wait for Mao. I think he's probably in a loading screen. It's fine. It's fine, sick. You need more condensed? Alright, no worries. I'm just gonna podcast here and make sure that Bimby doesn't make us freeze. Spec is done with y'all. Yeah? Is he though? I think I'm gonna change to Shangyi. My sweet girly. How's the sword life? Sword life? What do you mean? Whatever could you mean, Cupcake? What do you mean sword life? Did he get a sword? Let's see. I need to do the event, don't forget. Stick that in the noggin. Riddles? Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, that actually reminds me. I wanted to change the audio. Don't forget you have to do the event! Thanks. Thanks, Cupcake. I had it in Japanese for something, and I can't remember why I switched it over. But since Yoda keeps complaining about the Japanese, the Japanese, Tinari. Your loading screens are so long on PS4? Yeah. I think that's pretty normal. He keeps complaining about the Japanese, Tinari voice. So... Sorry. I keep forgetting. I don't normally have to click that. I just click start. Good-ish, Yoda? Just good-ish? Can we change that? Can we make you great? Fantastic. I could have bought Hydro, I guess. Let's go! Fuck both of these shields. Bro, where are you going? What? Let's go. Now the guy's going off to Kokomi. Better Kokomi than me. No, never mind. Okay, I goofed. I taunted him. Bro, stop it. She's so cute, man. Your PC needs to be built. You know, my life hasn't been kind the last 6 years on that front. Oh, I'm gonna save that just in case we do it again. Yeah, I think I don't know why I run up here every time, even though I'm not redeeming, but it's okay. Also, she has a giant bell, but does she jingle? I can't hear it if she does. Stepping away from your keyboard. Lest you face the wrath of Mao once more. Yeah, I had a shitty PC for a long time. And now I actually need to upgrade my my graphics card because it is like really badly falling behind. But whew, that shit is expensive. So it's not something I've been looking at recently. Whoa, Mao, don't go without me. Ow! Ow! Did we get the other guy? Is he still alive? Ow. Stinky. Stinky hitty troll. Noise. That's fine. You're on laptop now? No worries. Yoda, what can we do to make you feel better? You said you're good-ish. Jargon be healing me all the time because I'm stupid. Does the guy keep hitting you? Sorry, Mo. It's literally all I can do. I mean, that's true. I have a 1070, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, it's difficult when I have, like, multiple things open. Like, when I stream... This music's so loud. When I stream and when I do VTuber stuff and I have Discord open as well, it gets a bit much. And, like, everything else is pretty good in my PC. It's just those things are a little bit spicy. The graphics card's a little bit spicy compared to the rest. Yeah, boy. Nice. Ow, you bastard. Noise. You have no motivation to do anything? Oh, that's fine. Do you need to be doing anything? You should rebuild jungling. I probably need to redo mine. Yeah, her stats are pretty bad. I think someone else might have stolen her artifacts. You know what? It might actually be my Futao. Because I know she's got artifacts on her, but I don't know where these came from. Spectre. I don't know what my stats are. Whose artifacts did you steal, girlie? Oh, she stole someone's. But my Xiangling was built like in the beginning of the game. She was built for ER, so I think she is missing some pieces. Oh, you're out of resin? Okay, no worries, no worries. Oh, okay, are we done? Are we done, Zos? Let me just see. I know Mao's gonna be on a loading screen now, but... Yeah? Wait, no, I need to change my character. Because then we can... Pink-haired babes. There we go. So I need to be on this side. So Bindi's our main goal. We're the side bitches. Pink hair. Red and white outfits. If I get more condensed, will you stay with me for another 3? Yeah, can do. I'm fine with that. Jargon's probably fine with that as well, to be fair. There's definitely something wrong with me. Have you gotten any sunlight recently, Yoda? Have you been outside in the sun at all in the last 2 weeks? Everyone's leaving me. I'm here alone. Alrighties, no worries, Spec. Enjoy. Have a good evening. Yeah, we're here for you, yo doodles. If you need to chat. I'm also having a moment. Exactly what Miles said. Be kind to yourself. I think a lot of people forget we've just come out of an epidemic. It's still currently kind of going on. Pandemic, sorry. Still kind of going on, you know. That shit ain't over skidovers yet. That stuff's stressful. Work, studies, doesn't matter what you're doing in life. It's fucking stressful. So just be kind. If anything, be kind to yourself. I have an idea for a fundraiser I want to do now, and it's all thanks to you. Oh shit! I hope it goes well. But yes, like Mouse said, be kind to yourself. Oopsie! Wasn't me. I didn't put out the fire or anything. Couldn't be me. I'm gonna bring my man with the big fish. Y'all my favorite people! Joggin is also one of my favorite. You all my favorite people. My favorite people are here chilling with me. I mean, there's some favorite peoples that aren't here as well, but that's fine. Mao, is your Xingqiu? Oh, Yoda, you wanna come? Join on Mao's world. Did I just exit the domain? Sorry. Come, Yoda. Get in here. Brrr. Let's go. I'm Natata's favorite puss friend. You are. The hella mad puss. Oh my gosh. Did we do the thing? Hey, there's Yoda. Come slap her. Come big slap her, please. I'm bringing Deluxe, so yeah. Let's go. Can I slap you with a fish? What the fuck? You feel like you bother us? No ways. It's yeah, like Dragon said, it's the dumb brain juices. I get that sometimes as well. It sucks. But it sucks more to just sit with your own thoughts by yourself. Not me sitting here the whole time just like staring at the screen. Ooh! Look at this cutie squad I got with me. Just message someone. I've been wanting to have like a Peanut, thank you for the confettis. How are you? Oh, I forgot Dilux's got very long legs. God damn. Ah! Not us having like a very touching moment. Wait, what the fuck is this? Can I? Okay, I don't know what that's all about, but okay, cool. How you doing, Peanut? I've been wanting to have like a channel where if people need to vent or rant or whatever. The only problem is I feel like it's difficult as a person who also has, you know, the stupid brain juices. Like, I feel like it's hard to support people sometimes, and I feel like I'm not always like emotionally available to help people. And I don't want to put that pressure on myself or literally anyone else. You're healing, Yoda? How dare you? How could you? Eat my bird. Nice. You overthink? Yeah. I mean, I definitely need the heals. Yoda may not, but oops! Especially when I do shit like that. Can you stop jumping forward, sir, please? There we go. Anyway. You'll die in this cold. Oh yeah, that's fair actually. Nearly went up the entrance by accident. That happens to Jargon and I all the time when he's playing with Kazuha, because Kazuha's like wind makes like a flashbang. Yeah. It's no good. Look how fast he is now, because I actually got fucking legs to run with. Jungling's got the tiniest little legs. She's so tiny. She's shoulder height to him. What's up, Barbie? Look at his beautiful ponytail. Tell me he's not the Barbie of Genshin Impact. Whoa. It's like holding the scroll over it. Imagine having legs! Ah! Wait, you have legs, Mao. What are you talking about? Sir? Do you in fact not have legs? Did I... Uh-oh. No! Look why you turn around, you shit! Oh! Where? Did he teleport? This fuck. Whoop. Nice. If they're not robot legs, do they even count? Oh, I know, right? Imagine. Ah! Chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna. Chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, homies. Hi, Rich. Chilling with the homies. Welcome, welcome. Oh, you're playing Genshin Impact? Nice. Thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing today? Welcome, welcome, raiders. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nat, or Tato. I'm a variety streamer from South Africa. As you can see, I'm playing Genshin Impact, currently helping some homies with the domain here, because it sucks butts. But yeah, I like to play all kinds of things. I also do cosplay, and in fact, I'm doing a drinking stream on the weekend to celebrate. I was supposed to celebrate a long time ago because I hit 1,000 a while ago, but you know, we're celebrating this weekend. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you? Can I call you Rich? Is that fine? Wait, the stinky boy is still. Ah! Oh, fuck. Oh, no. There we go. Okay. Mans is just getting bounce partied. Sorry, I'm not very good at reading chat while fighting in domains. Because otherwise I will die. Did he die it? He died it. Okay, we're good. Ah, you stinky. Anyway, there we go. You're so into Genshin at the moment. I have the deluxe skin. I do. So he was my first 5-star character in the game, and he's also C3. So I was like, I can't not get the skin for him. And because I used to save up my Genesis crystals from the Welkin Moon, I had enough to buy it for him. So I did. Now he just needs his sword, and then he can look beautiful. Rich is perfect. Lovely, lovely. You did this domain at 90 for the first time a few days back. Is it toughie? It is. It's annoying because you get knocked around. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun to do it by yourself. You all good, Mama? All right, perfect, perfect. So I'm going to leave. But yeah, what server do you play on, Rich? I play on EU, and I'm happy to help people. Like, if they need boss kills or domain clears or anything like that, I'm happy to help. I also have a lot of friends that help as well. You're also on EU? Okay, well, if you want to add me, and if you have any questions, I have a button somewhere for that. There we go. Yeah, if you want to add, and if you ever need help with anything. There's a redeem, so if you need like the weekly boss kills, like the big ones, because I know those can be a bit of a pain, and sometimes it's better to do it with friends. I'll actually be doing some tomorrow with friends on stream. These days I'm only doing like the last 3, so I'll do like Raiden, is this yeah, Signora, and then the frog. We call him the frog. But I'm happy to help if anyone needs anything. You're at the start of Sumeru, just trying to catch up. Ah, okay. Well, I'm gonna say enjoy, because I'm AR60. I have mad love for this game. I've been playing it for just over 2 years now. Yeah, and I play every day. Curious to see my resin spent this month. You've burnt like 60 fragile. Jeez. Good gravies. I think I didn't really use that much. But yeah, Staff of Homeless. 100%. Frog Dragon, Bernie Lady, and Purple Puppet Lady. Yeah. I was gonna say Electrofuck, but Electrofuck belongs to this boss. Where is he? Down here. This one. This is the Electrofuck. And Crimson Bitch. So not Bernie Lady, but Crimson Bitch. That's what we call her, Crimson Bitch, because that's who she be, you know. Okay, I said I'm doing this because I keep forgetting to do it. Thunder Manifuck Station. Yeah, but yeah, it's the Electrofuck. I can't. I hate that boss so much. I don't have Yoimiya, so it's so annoying to fight it. I can't be asked. I don't need to kill it for anything, so I just don't. I killed it for as many things as I needed for the characters that I got, and then I was like, I'm never coming here again. Goodbye. Same with this one. This fuck over here. I never want to fight it again. There's characters I still need to level. But I don't want to think about it. My Geo team now could wallop that thing. But, yeah. No, it's fine. I don't need to. I'll go there if I need to. In the future. When I have nothing else to do. But yeah, I'm happy to help people with stuff. Because, like, when I started, I didn't have... Because I started in the beginning of the game. I didn't have people to help me. Could have been a lot less frustrating to do some of the bosses. You're doing Deepwood, Artifact Farming, and Primo Vishap? Oh shit! Jargon, go get some more disappointment. We were farming artifacts earlier, Yoda, and I didn't get a single good piece. I was just like, no, this is fine. This is okay. GeoCube is the worst. So for me, it's just an annoying fight, to be honest. It's just annoying. But the fights that I hate the most are the ones with phases, where the boss has like some kind of immunity. Oceanid, this boss is annoying simply because of that. Oceanid has that immune phase. I guess technically Storm Terror has that as well, but when last did I fight Storm Terror, you know? And then Crimson Bitch, she definitely has that. Fucking, she's just teleporting around the room. And then
Hello, motherfucker.
hello, motherfucker. What's poppin'?
Don't mind me, just watching.
You good, Daddy? I hope you're good. I hope you're having a good day. How's your ankle feeling, by the way? You got Diluc as your first 5-star? Shit, no ways! You got Kiching in the last 50-50 in the Zhongli banner. And you got Venti and his weapon in the last banner. Oh, very nice. Yeah, so Diluc was my... Oh, guys, can I show you a trick? If you're not sure about when you got characters and you don't want to actually, like, physically, like, go look. If you go here. You do this on purpose? Do what, Daddy? Always an ad. It wasn't me, Daddy. I didn't do shit. It was not me. Anyway, so if you come here, I'm not going to be able to show you guys because I've sent out stuff. Okay, wait, let me recall Benny because he's going to come back quick anyway. If you go here, besides the characters that have bonuses at the top, this is the order in which you got characters. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, Kokomi is the last one that I got. Then it was Dori. Yeah, you see. So this is the order in which I got the characters. Right? So, if we go look, my first 5-star, I can see. You can go look at the dates. But that's a lot of hard work. But anyway, so yes. Diluc was my first, and then Tatalia was my first banner character. That was a mistake. But yeah, besides the ones at the top, that one kind of messes with the order, but yeah. Anyway. It's been following her for a while now. Wait, what? Oh! Oh, okay, I misread that horribly. I thought you were saying something was following someone, and I was just like, what did I miss? Is Daddy blacklisted? Nat hates me? Why would I hate you, Daddy? What have you done? What have you done that would make me hate you? But Daddy, for some reason, Daddy is cursed with ads. I don't know why, despite being subbed. He should not. The thing is, like, I've had subs. I've had ads on people's channel when I was subbed to them, even though they didn't have ads turned on for subs. And I was just like, that doesn't make sense. And then it started happening to people who watch my stream, and I was like, none of this makes any sense. Why? But yeah, sorry, Daddy. Alright, I needed to do the event, yeah? Let's see. Oh, I needed to equip the thing as well. Can I can't teleport there, but I can go down here. Or up here, rather. Oh! So you're saying the problem is you've cursed us all? No ways! Not me! It's Daddy. Daddy's always had this issue, though. I think Daddy's the one that's cursed. Getting ads through subs, it makes no sense because it seems to be like selective people, right? It's not. There's like, as far as I know, it's just Daddy that has it on my channel. But like the entire time he's been subbed, he's been having issues with that, so I don't understand. Nat Voodoo. It's not me, I swear. If a streamer was actually given that power to show ads through a sub to like a specific person, I feel like that would be a way to like get weird people to leave your channel. Like without you having to actually say anything, they just get fed up with the ads at some point. Also, I recommend like ad blocks, guys. Block them ads. Shit's okay. Just block him. Okay, what do I actually need to do here? Is that showing me the direction it's in, or how does this work? No, it is this away? Do I have to go down, maybe? Might be down, actually. Let me go see. Because the way it's pointing, it looks like it's pointing to a place where I can't actually walk. So maybe there's a passage under here? Or not, never mind. Is it outside? Oh my god, am I going insane? Distinct possibility. Let's go outside and see. Because that looks like it's outside the robot. Anyway. The streamer reverse troll, just bombard them with ads? Yeah. I don't think streamers have any kind of power like that though. I think Twitch wouldn't give their creators any kind of power like that. This is not even outside. I'm gonna go cry now because I'm severely lost. The Dendroculus? No, I'm not looking for Dendroculus. It's the event. Oh, not these buggers. Ugh. I want the friendship points though. Where are they? Give it to me. Hello, Stinkies. Man, these things are so fucking persistent. One day I'll have a crit call me build. Today is not that day, but it is something that I want to work towards. Please don't hit the giant robot man. Thank you. You know that device you have shows you the way? Yeah, but the thing is, like, it looked like it was on the robot, and that's why I was in the robot. But that's also why I've now left the robot, because I know it's not in the robot. So yes, Mr. Sassy Pants, I know that the device is gonna show me the way. However, this radius looked like it was over the robot, which is why I was even there to begin with. You do not know the way? Yeah? And why am I running in the right direction? If I do not, in fact, know the way. Look how big that is. Okay, it's not showing on the big map, but it's covering the robots. I was like, it's gotta be here, right? Apparently not. Got bamboozled. Also, Daddy, how is your ankle doing? You didn't answer me. Are you feeling better? Did you actually sprain it, or is it fine now? Let's see. He's down still. What? Not saying up.
Excuse me.
Ah! Solden! Hello, hello. How are you? Can we get a shouty outy? Fuck. It's uppish. This is not helpful. I got to meet and also give an enormous fright to Solden at Comic-Con. It was very much a mistake, though I still feel terrible about it. Can't sleep at night because I'm just thinking about the look of terror on his face. Thank you, Dragon. Alright. This is like not very clear where exactly I'm meant to be going, but it's fine. That was close. So you're saying his face is scary? No, I gave him a fright. Up! The fuck? Am I going the right way, Daddy? Have you done this? That felt a bit spicy. Oh shit. I guess this is it. I only followed now? It's fine, Solden. No need to apologize. I follow people on like other platforms and then forget to follow them on a different platform. And then when I realize, I'm like, how could I do this? I've been following the Caramel Gamer, not even joking, for ages on Twitter. It wasn't until recently that I went and looked, but I wasn't following him on Twitch and I was like, whew. Followed when he was offline, so he does not perceive me. I do that shit all the time. I'm honestly not too sure what exactly I need to do in this event, but it's okay. This is fine. You got me on Insta and Twitter for ages. You see, it's dumb. Cause like, yeah, that's why I say it doesn't matter. Cause I do exactly the same thing. And then my brain is like, no, you definitely follow this person, even if I don't. What do you mean can't deploy here? Oh, is that what I'm looking for? Yes. Okay, perfect. We're sorted. Mood, yeah. You're doing it right. Find spot, makes you do random puzzle, find green droplet, win. Okay, 10 out of 10. Cool. Load shedding just kicked. Oh no! Zolden, take care. I hope you survive load shedding. Sorry to hear that. Alright. So now I need to go find the next location. It's an easy event. Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad actually. This one's in the middle of the desert. Cool. My favorite place. Oh, what the fuck? Ah! Darkness! Is that one inside? Oh, I'm gonna go to this one. Your load shedding is also about to kick in. Oh shit, you're also from South Africa, Rich? No ways. How's it, my brew? Could have given you a proper greeting if I knew. I just never make the assumption that that people are from South Africa. Simply because that's a dangerous assumption to make, you know. Why is my nose... I had this the whole of today. You know, like that tingling feeling just before a sneeze? Ugh. My nose has been... doing that all day. That was weird. Just sneeze? But I don't like sneezing. It's so uncomfortable. You used to be Demonic ZA? I think we met through Warhammy. The name is very familiar. Ah! Oh, there's a thing here somewhere. I don't remember ever coming to this area. I'm not gonna lie. You broke your domain, Yoda? Shame on you. I'm guessing this thing is like inside a building. Wah! I'm not gonna sneeze. What are these things? Can I touch them? There's just a wobbly wall there. Oh shit. You guys have to do the domain again? Some you can touch? Yeah, I've touched some before, but that one doesn't look like, maybe it's like not active or whatever. I have to do something to make it do the thing. Oh, what the hell's going on here? Are they racing? Am I gonna disturb them if I come stand here? Are they gonna aggro on me? Also, is this one underground or something? Am I dwarf? Who's this? Ah! What's poppin'? Don't mind me, just watching. Thank you so much for the lurkies, daddy. Wait, was that another person that requested to join? Am I dumb? It's on top? It's not inside, it's on top! Oh wait, I have to do this. Ugh, what an idiot. Oh, this is fine. Oh, there he is. Hi. Uh-oh. Woof. Noise. Oh, I just needed to kill things there. Very interesting, this event. There's so many things here though. Fuck, I'm getting distracted. Oh my god, there's literally 3 here. Okay guys, you're gonna have to pardon me. I'm gonna get very distracted now. Exploding barrels. Oh my god. My barrels. What? What? Imagine not being able to shoot a barrel. How embarrassing. Whoa! Oh, it's to unlock the statues. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. This is fine. Walking over a cactus. Jargon, have you done the event, by the way? Or you waiting for me to do it so you can see how to do it? This is such a satisfying sound. Oh! Oh, this guy's dead zos. Oh, he died so fast there. This is fine. Right, so now I need a pyro to smack some things. Oh wait, there's another one over there. Damn it! Shitty titties. Benny Boken! You got a Deepwood Dendro bonus? Nice! I know that's fucking pain. Because I'm going through the same pain as you, Yoda. Where was that last one? I should have hit them while I was there, to be fair. Nice! Oh, and that's a nice one. My life for a Deepwood EM circlet. I've just been putting all of my... Because I was farming the talent books for her before. So I have like a lot. This took me so fucking long to farm. Holy shit. So fucking long. And I'm still missing like 40 or something. So yeah, that'll take some time. But I have enough for the beginning levels, at least. And yeah, so now I've started farming. Because she's still so fucking far away. Fuck, man. Every time I think about it, I get a little bit sad. But yeah, started farming for gear now, and yeah, it's going, I guess. Collect 6 in 40 seconds. Where's this scammers? Come back here though. Oh, and I see a spoopy spoop in the this is very distracting. How's a bitch supposed to focus? I just want to go get this chest first. What the actual ever-living fuck is going on here? Okay, wait. They're all buried? Okay, never mind, we're good. Oh, I thought I had to fight like all 6 of those guys. There's a spot like that in Liwe. Whoops. Oops, 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 oops. I framed, bitch. Catch me outside. Get him, Kokomi-chan! Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, fuck the artifact domain's so sad. That's why I don't like farming that kind of stuff, just because it feels like you spend all your resin for the day. And then, you know. Ooh, there's a thingy up there for me. I saw something else in the distance. Ah, spoopy spoop. Oh, there's a fucking hole in the ground there. And a chest for me? Oh shit, Yoda. Are you going for Yae Miko or are you going for Tari? Because now you seem conflicted. Oh no. Let's go, little buddy. My nose. Why is there so many tumbleweeds here? Ooh. Where'd my friend go? Still vibing? I really badly want to roll on the banner for Yae Miko and Tatalia's weapon, because if I get either one of them, like, it's good, yeah? Because I can use Kagura's Verity on Yae Miko, I can use it on Nahida, because it's like her second Western slot, If I get the bow, I can use it on Tardy. I don't know who else uses the Polar Star. And if I get any other weapon, you know, that's just normal for me anyway, so it doesn't actually matter. I really want to roll. Technically, I want Nahida's weapon because it looks really pretty. Like, for her, I mean. But yeah. I don't know about Thundering Pulse because I don't have Yoimiya. I don't know who else uses Thundering Pulse. I'm curious about that other thing. But also these little sand boys. You just have to win your 50-50 for Nahida and Yae. Oh, wait, yeah, you do have Tatalia. It was, Mao. Mao said he's going also for... Well, he's going for Tadi, not... Yae Miko. Okay, my disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined. All of that for 300 Mora! I want to die! Toddy is tempting. Well, Yoda's already got Toddy at least, so... That's fine. I wasn't constellation. You want Toddy? Oh! You want constellations for Yae. I mean... Ah, what the fuck? Bro. What a knob. Okay, there's the doll. Oh, okay. I know there's more stuff over here. This stuff wasn't here before, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have permission for this. Or clearance, rather. I don't have clearance for that. Fuck! Your clearance! Okay, that's fine. I guess I can't do that. And I know that I can't get into that one either, because you also need clearance for it or whatever. Okay, wait, we were doing an event. Let's focus. We got very distracted. Very, very distracted. Standard, though. Is the weapon banner still a scam? Of course it is. Of course it's still a scam, Yoda. As far as I know, they haven't changed anything about the banner. So yeah, it is in fact still a scam. Until they make it a little bit less bullshitty, it's going to remain a scam. Just checking. Well, you know, I did that 110 pull for Ito. And I got his weapon and I was like, okay, I'm done. Never again. Miko, please, girly. Oh my god, imagine. Is this the way? There's a little buddy here. Hi, little buddy. Yeah. Huh, interesting. Is there more? Oh! I need him to come over here then. Oh, and here. No! Benny! Oh, fuck. There we go. Where's our little pal? Ah! Need this guy to come closer. Hi, Pixie! Am I your chicken wing? There we go. Got him! Oh, that one was literally just... Wow, okay. This is a very easy event. So yeah, I guess even if you decided to, like, go Hamzo on the last day, it would be fine. How are you doing, Pixie? I keep wanting to be, like, excited, because I'm like, yeah, it's Wednesday! It's not. It's not Wednesday. With immense disappointment. I realized that as I started my stream. I was like, it's not Wednesday today! I downloaded this game. Is it super fun? I would say yes. I have been playing this game for over 2 years though, so I may be a little bit biased. I may love this game a lot, so take my opinion, you know, with a pinch of salt. Yeah, there's a lot to do. Depending on what kind of stuff you like to do in games, so there's lots of characters. There's lots of exploration though. At the moment, you're really spoiled for choice in terms of exploration. So you start in this area. So this is like the first like region called Mondstadt. And then you come into the next area, which is actually very big. So it's not Dragonspine, but it's all of this section. And then it comes down here as well. There's a little bit in the ocean. So that's the second one. And then the third one is all over here. There's like a bunch of islands that you can go to. And now we're currently in the fourth region, which starts about here. There's a bit of desert here, and then there's more. There's more stuff that's gonna come this side at some point. So there's a lot of exploration. There's like puzzles that you can do in the open world. There's like things that you can fight as well. You have to build your characters. So I'll give you an example. So weapons are pretty standard, but the artifacts, so this is like their gear that you'll put on them. I don't know how familiar you are with RPGs, but yeah. And then, yeah, there's a gacha aspect to the game, so if you're not familiar with gachas, basically, there's, if you're new to the game, there's a beginner banner, which will give you, like, extra stuff, so definitely do the beginner's banner. But basically, you use the Primo Gems, the currency, you get it from doing dailies and quests and exploration. There's a lot of ways to get it. And then you can also get, they're called fates, but we call them wishes, to get the characters. You are guaranteed the character, like, in the worst case possible. I don't think anyone's ever reached it, but in the absolute worst case possible, 180 pulls. You will 100% get the character. The main one on the banner there. These are like ones that have boosted rates. These three on the side here. They're all really good characters. And yeah, so this is the current limited one. This is another limited one. And then this is the standard one. So never spend your primos here. Never spend your gems here. Only if you have the blue fates. Then you'll spend. But otherwise here you only... this is like random. This is not boosted anything. So this just has like all the standard stuff. All the standard characters. There's also limited weapon, but I wouldn't recommend throwing gems into this. It's worse. It's worse than getting the characters. But yeah, so if you have questions, Pixie, let us know. There's quite a few people in chat who are familiar with the game, so they'd be able to help you as well. So do it. You won't? No, I won't, Daddy, because I'm saving for Nahida. My pity is 2. My pity is 2, and I am not guaranteed. So no, I'm not going to watch. Give me your primos. No, I've worked hard to save these primos. Okay, I had to skip Nilo. I'm very upset. Nilo and Nahida both start with an N. May as well do it. Oh, okay. No, because you know what? The last time I listened to Jargon, when he's like, no, just roll. I got the character, so I'm not doing it. One wish won't hurt. No, 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 no. I had to skip Nilo. I want her so bad. She's very cute. But I'm not gonna do it because I need Nahida. Why are you guys bullying me? What is this? What is this bully now all of a sudden? But yeah, Pixie, you know, sorry, my nose is like wanting to make me sneeze. Any questions at all? Just let us know. Ooh, okay. So, what? I need to follow these little dots? Where are you going, buddy? Are you gonna show me where the road is? Okay. Look how puffed up it is. From the electro. Oh, okay, this way. That makes sense. Where are we going, bud? This way? Why skip the Bloom Queen? Cause I want a heater more than anything else. But I need y'all to come this way. Anyway. What other games do you jam? I'm gonna be honest, mostly this one. Mostly this one. I like to play, like, you know, like Stardew Valley type games as well, so... Oh wait, I can see the... Oh! That's annoying. It's okay though. So like Stardew Valley, I've been playing a similar one recently called Coral Island, which is very, very cute. I don't want to walk willy-nilly and fall off. But I'm trying to see if I can hit these guys from a distance. It's that away? This seems spicy to do it this way, but... yeah, I'm trying to think, what else do I play? I play lots of games, to be honest. I love puzzle games, platformers. I don't really play a lot of pew-pews, but like, Warframe. If I had to pick a pew-pew, I would say Warframe. Woo! Okay, hold on. Something ain't working here. And it's my brain. I want to see if I can- Oh, fuck! Okay, I was trying my luck there. I was like, I wonder if I can hit this guy. Never mind. Maybe I just need to do it slowly and carefully. You're looking forward to... what are we calling it? ZZZ? Zenless Zone... I actually don't know what all the Z's stand for. We're just calling it Z's. Hi, Jack Daniels. How you doing? Why not get both? Because I don't got money for both, Daddy. I don't got money for that shit. I got patience for Nahida, and that's about it. Okay, that helps. Shit. Why am I like this? Anyway, sorry guys. Did I miss anything else? Fuck. My brain is not working. What kind of ad? What kind of ad you get, Daddy? It's so difficult. Yeah, this is a little bit tricky to get right. You just gotta have good timing, I think. Chase these little motherfuckers. Hey! You! Yeah. You. It's fine. I'll get there eventually. Cool. Let's go hit this guy quick. Yeah, boy. Oh yeah, it's your birthday today! Jack Daniels, happy birthday! Did you have a good time? Did you go out for dinner? Skill issue? Definitely, Daddy. 100% skill issue. This is not an unknown thing though. Please be serious. You're acting like you don't know me, Daddy. You know damn well it's a skill issue. This away. This is definitely taking me the wrong way though. I want to see if where's this guy going? There's no way that other one is gonna go the right way. Oh, okay, maybe he is. And I goofed. What the heck? If I redeem VIP, is it permanent or temporary? It's permanent to an extent, but it's like, I guess in the future, if you disappear from my streams and I never see you— oh, there it is! If you disappear from my streams and I never see you again, then yeah, I'll take it back. Because, you know, it's supposed to be for people who are here. Oh, thank the Pope! Good God! Ah! Okay, this is fine. Is that a VIP threat? No. What do you mean a threat? No ways. Me threaten someone? I could never. With a face like this, you think I could threaten someone? No. I keep seeing those videos on Instagram of if Lord of the Rings was done by Kiwis. And it irritates me so much, but at the same time it's so well done. I'm just like, how does this guy not crack up every time? I don't understand comedians. How they can say the most ridiculous shit with a deadpan expression. I could never. I say the stupidest shit and then I like cackle because it's just like, it's so dumb. Oh man, like the or nor. Never. I could never say that with a straight face. Yeah, homie, where are we going? Did I go too far down? Am I in the wrong place? Oh, wait, is that it? I see a shiny light! Oh my god! Nor. I can't. No, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Please don't drop stuff. No, they drop stuff! Ah, fuck. I never know. I never know when they're actually gonna drop loots. Let's go. Since I'm already, burning the electrocuting the shit out of you, might as well just burn the shit out of you as well. Wah! Thank you, Pixie. You have a wonderful evening as well. I hope you don't have load shedding now. I know some people's got load shedding. Ow, 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 you bastard. Best German accent? Best German accent? I don't really do accents, Daddy. In that A, I'm bad at them. And B, it's kind of like a mockery in a way. Which I feel bad about, because I really like different accents. So I don't want to make fun of people. But I'm also just really bad at them, which is why I want to do it. My boyfriend is incredibly bad at doing accents. He'll do like some random accent, and then I'll be like, oh, nice, whatever, and I'll say something else that I know he wasn't meaning to do, and he's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. He's such a chop sometimes. Okay, I think I've done all the ones that are unlocked currently. But yeah, I have worked at a couple different places and I've spoken to people from all over the world and it makes my heart sing. But I love different accents and it always made me really sad when my students were like, I don't want to have this accent, you know, like from whatever country they're from. And I was always just really sad about it because I thought it was nice to have that kind of diversity, you know? How boring would it be if we all sounded the same? I wouldn't be able to make fun of half the things that jargon says. Imagine having an accent. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Americans don't have accents. Ah! Hi, Crazy Bug! Ah! Wait, you just said yes? What did I say? Oh no, it's different when it's your friend. It's different when it's your friend. But I mean, like, you know, general people. I'm not gonna make fun of like, an entire population of people. But jargon, I will definitely. Listen, he understands this. As a person who is my friend, he understands this fact. I'm pretty sure, basically, since the beginning of our friendship, we've always, like, always teased each other about stuff. Bully. Yeah. I don't think our friendship would be half as fun if we didn't bully each other. I'm pretty sure... I'm pretty sure there's not a day that goes by where we don't bully each other. It's only like if one of us is having a shit day, you know, then we'll hold back. But you have an accent? No, I don't have an accent, Yoda. I don't know what you're talking about. You could not bully your friends? Exactly. Exactly, it's not a thing. Are you friends with someone? Prove it. Bully them. But you know what? If you're actually bullying your friend, then maybe you're not actually friends with them. If you actually mean the mean things you say, then maybe you're not actually friends with them. You have a high tolerance for being walked on? Yes! He's too much of a, what do you call it? A doormat. Sometimes he just doesn't fight back and I'm like, okay. I just say something mean and he's like, yeah. Feels bad, man! But I think also when you're friends with someone, you learn that there's like certain things you don't make jokes about. So yeah, I think that's something that you just have to learn over time. As you get to know the person, you find out what kind of jokes are okay. Wakanda jokes are okay. We don't really make Wakanda jokes though, because I haven't watched any of the Black Panther movies. Alright, I was up here. Joggin is the exception. Oh no, poor Joggin. If I need to bully anyone, if I'm having a bad day, I just go bully Joggin. Be like, hey! Oh, to be fair, he said I smelled bad earlier today. And I'm like... I literally have nothing I can say to that. Wakanda jokes, bro! Bad ones. Those are the kind of jokes you gotta get here. Bad ones. And of course, I'm going to laugh at my own bad jokes. Because someone has to, yeah? Imagine who would laugh at my bad jokes. Doesn't feel bad, man. Feels terrible, man. So it's fine. Oh, I forgot I had Benny in this team. Goodbye, lady. Is she still alive, or...? She is! This tricksy woman. And then I clip or quote the bad jokes. Exactly. That's exactly why we have that. Do you know how to do the quotes, Mao? I assume there's like a puzzle here that I need to solve or something. Oh wait, there's a camp I'm supposed to be going to. Never mind. I'm clearly very distracted here. This is okay. Mao's done some quotes? Okay, perfect. I wasn't too sure. Can you... Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to set this up on my stream deck somewhere. Just a button to do like the random quotes. Just so every now and then. When it's quiet. Oh, Scarab! It's for me? When it's quiet, I can just pop a quote and be like, what the fuck? His name shall be Batholio! Who was that? Who were we naming Batholio? Oh, there's a thing. There's a thing. A shiny boy. I need to go back and get that other one, actually. Where was it? There was a hole somewhere. I should have picked it up when I saw it. Fuck. Shitty titties. Yeah. Don't see anything else shiny here. I just want to go back for a second. Because I want to see if I can find... it was in a hole somewhere. It was on the way here as well. Is it down here? Doesn't look like it. Did I pick it up? My brain is a colander. That is blocked off. cool. I didn't want to go that way. Anyway, actually. Can I... No, okay. I saw someone do that with a venti. Okay. That's a no-go. How did I get here then? Did I go from this way? Co-lander? Was it not here? Was it a different one? Honestly, can't see fuck all anyway because there's no map for the underground. You just get the overworld map and, you know, fuck you if you're trying to navigate or find anything. Was it this one? Might have been this one. It was! There it is! Ikimashou. What? Oh, I'll take that. Thunder Strike. Oh, that's very nice. I wish I knew about that before. I would have gone and got that the first time. This is fine. Oh, I did finish my Lucozade. I have to drink water now. Gross. Water is for toilets. And my hair, apparently. Look at these little dingleberries. Just casually falls into a hole. This is fine. Alright. What was I supposed to do here? There's a camp down here. Let's go hit some peepos. I did not think it was gonna cutscene. If my Kokomi is dead, I'm gonna have words for Mihoyo. Unbelievable. It's not the first time and it's not gonna be the last time that I do that either. This is fine. Okay, I know there's no voices currently, but I do need to turn up the game sound. I think the game sound is very low. What on earth is going on here? Bouquet. Oh shit! Betrayal! Jellyfish Princess will never forgive you. That's a lie. I think we both know that. You both? You and someone else in chat knows that. Mans took a key. I like how he's mocking the dad. But it technically belongs to the daughter. Oh, man. Listen, I'm just here to fight you and take my robot back. Like, bro, we don't need to have this discussion. You guys can have a catch-up sesh, you know, after we fought. Hi, Dan. How you doing? Let's slap at his beaches. Get fucked. Justice for Ben Ben? Exactly. Beep! Beep. Whatever the fuck that meant. Seems a little sad. Yes, that sounded like a sad robot beep. We need like a translator for Ben Ben because I don't have any idea what the fuck this little triangle's talking about. This guy's getting on my nerves though. I'm no actress. No shit. treacherous grit. Not very good with the insults, that other guy. Hello? Fucking plot twist. Oh, I see, I see. GG's Hassan, how are you doing? Break time? Wait, were you studying? Also, what movie did you end up watching yesterday, by the way? Because you never told me. I couldn't sleep last night because I was up all night trying to think, what kind of movie would Hassan watch? No, I'm joking, I did sleep. You've been studying since yesterday? Oh, gross. Sorry to hear that, Hassan. Detective Conan? Oh, I haven't watched any of that. You hate cell biology? Oh, sorry. Is that what you're studying at the moment? So hard to pronounce everything. Oh, no! Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Because, like, I was teaching a lesson today that had like some technical vocabulary in it, and it's like shit that I've never used before, and I was just like, just do your best to the student. I was like, no, it's fine. You were in the movie jargon? What? 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 Proceed deeper into the ruins. I'm not even gonna try and say that, Hassan. I'm not gonna waste nobody's time trying to say that. Ooh, hello! I'll take that. And there's a ho-ho as well. It's for me. Your tongue is suffering. Can imagine. My brain is suffering just looking at that word. Is there a bug here? Where's the bug? No bug? Wait. This is fine. Chlamydomonas? Eh? Oh, there's a bad boy over here. Thanks, Beanie Borkin. Oh. It's got flippers. Common single-celled green algae that lives in water and moist soil. Typically has two flagella for swimming. It's got flippers. Her son's here to educate us. We're just gonna lead this guy. Oh, I need to have Benny Borkin out anyway for the fucking puzzle, so this is fine. Oh my god. Benny! Your mom went to church for this? Joking. I need to go grab the thing again. Where was it? Nice. Oh, come on, man. There we go. Imagine sucking so bad. Yay! Okay, and then what was this bad boy for? Have a nucleus? Oh. Ah, I see, I see. Them's are some big words to not say much at all, Hassan. Why are they making you learn such big words for nothing? What do I need this little triangle for? Is it gonna disappear before I can use it? The answer is yes, it's already gone. How do I know if I'm going the right way? Oh, you have to? Oh, I need a sneeze. Does anyone get goosebumps when they sneeze? Oh, fuck, I hate it. Imagine muting? No, I checked to see that I was muted before. You guys have made me paranoid about that now, so I always double check. I mean, worst case, everyone hears me sneeze, then boo fucking who, you know? It's a variety of sneeze. Wait, what? Eh? Oh, what? Goosebumps? Goosebumps when you sneeze? Multi-sneeze, body ache sneeze. I've never had a body ache sneeze before. That sounds awful, though. Sorry to hear that. I'm a plant cell because I'm empty inside. Ah, yes, the vacuole. I remember learning that word when I was in, oh yeah? Did I? Why don't I remember that? Maybe it, like, wiped my memory as well. Took me out and my memory at the same time. It was like, nope. Oh, okay. I hate these fucking invisible walls and or ceiling and or shits. Because what, I'm just supposed to assume there's something there? Fuck. Was I not here before?
Daddy underscore screamed, teach me a cool word.
Coat. It means cold. Does that count? Coat. It sounds a bit like saying coat. Coat. It's Afrikaans for cold. Very, very useful vocabulary, you know, definitely gonna make use of that one. You put on a coat when you're cold. It does actually work. But listen, my Afrikaans is like questionable at best, so I don't know if that's the best way to go about things. Learning from me. Yeah, let's go this way, because I see something shiny. Is that a mosquito? Ah, I caught it! Oh, why do I do this every fucking time? Gross. Ugh. I'm gonna go wash my hands, because that's really gross. Be right back. Ice cream. Roomys. It's spelt like roomies. But like room... Y-S. Room ace. Roomies. What Jargon wrote there. Borrelgom is bubblegum. And I don't know the validity of milk skommel, but skommel means to like jack off. So like... I'm very English, so I don't really know the like the origin of the melkskommel part, but yeah. Borrelgom melkskommel supposedly is bubblegum ice cream. Is the proper word? It's been bastardized, yeah? Sounds about right. But yeah, I'm not very familiar. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? Is this one of those bouncy light things? Move? Sell? What the fuck? What have I done? What does this do? Come on, Winnie-chan. What the fuck is that? No! It's very sus, son! Chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna. Chicken and macaroni. Chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, welcome, Trax. How are you doing? You're playing Super People? What is that? How are you doing? And thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome, raiders. My name is Nat Orteno, variety streamer from South Africa. I play a lot of games, but I do play a lot of Genshin Impact. It is my main slice. It is my main boo. I also do cosplay, and I'll be doing a drinking stream this weekend. So if you guys want to join in for that, I'll probably be doing it on the Saturday. Anyway, yeah, that's a little bit about me. How about you guys? How was your stream, Tracks? And did you have a good stream? It's a battle royale. Oh, did I take too long for that one? Whoops. Oh my goodness. Ah, is it Julian? Julian Arana, thank you so much for the follow. Did I miss something? Did I take too long again? I think I did. Okay. My chat's just making me say sussy shit at the moment, so... What did I miss here, actually? What does it mean? Hassan, I don't know if I can say it in a way... I don't know if you'll know what I mean when I say it. Just DM him, jargon, please. Educate the child. You just googled it? No! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. However, this was jargon who taught you this word, not me. So... It was not me. This time. Had a great stream. Was kind of a test stream. I bought a new overlay. Oh, shit, nice! Did it work well? Are you happy? You were using it properly? Listen, I can tell you now for free. People don't use it that way, jargon. For free! Definitely kids do it. Definitely kids would use that as a JK lol. You guys corrupted Hassan. Oh, this boy, he is in Kai's chats. The sus king himself. It's not me corrupting him. This boy came pre-corrupted, okay? He was already corrupted when I knew him. He's just learning, you know, South African stuff here as well. You lost your innocence a long time ago, Hassan. Don't pin this on me, so do not. I also blame Kai. 100% blame Kai. For once, I agree. Don't clip that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. This is the one instance where it's okay to blame Kai, yeah? Because he's the sus king. I mean, where else is his son learning these dirty words? Not from me. Not from his mother. Of all people. Ooh, there's a boy here. Is this a boy? Is this also a boy? Where? Bro? Okay. Yeah, I was definitely missing something and it was a brain cell. Oh no, now he's dead. Oh man, sorry buddy. There we go. Where did he go? Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, that one, and then... Come on. that one. Do you want to move out of the way so I can hit this, buddy? Otherwise you're gonna get burnt again. Oh, Benny! How could you? Ah, unbelievable, unbelievable. Let's just get rid of this fire. Wah! And then we bring him back to life. Thank you so much, Trax. You gotta head out. It's upon you. Best of luck. Sorry to hear about the load shedding, but yeah, I hope it goes swiftly. Have a good evening otherwise, and thank you again so much for the raid. Sorry, I was cackling like a mad person during the raid. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I asked my old man for life advice, and he said always blame Kai. Ah, yeah, you see. Did Jargon tell you that? Is Jargon your old man? He's everyone's old man. Son said yes! You're gonna unmod yourself, Jargon. You're gonna lose your counter. Unfriend, unfollow, unlife. No, don't unlife. You can do the rest, just don't unlife. That's the only rule here. No unlifing. 1 year, 1 hour, Hassan! Yes! Oh, blessed. Blessed for a whole year by Hassan. It's nice to have you here. Alright, let's see. Dramatic. Oh, a Jargon? Jargon's being dramatic? I agree. You guys got to watch iframes there. In the flesh, in the real. Can I stop targeting? Thank you. I'm so glad that completely missed the shroom, but it's okay. This is fine. One year, 1 month, 15 days! And 20 hours. Oh man. It's crazy, like the time has flown. How long have I been streaming for? Has it been in January next year, it's 2 years, right? Sus? Wait, what's sus? What? It couldn't be me. Oh, yeah. So it's, Oh! I'm not following myself. The audacity. Gonna block her. Why is there like... Oh wait, I was like, why is there fighty music? There's nothing here to fight. It's a playlist that's playing. It's not the in-game music. That was confusing. Anything else here? Doesn't look like it. Damn, Boba! Pokemon's not following? I'm so offended right now. Can you type something in chat? I can. 10 years? I didn't know account age was a thing. Same. And watch time. 1 day, 1 hour. Damn, Booba. It doesn't show up. Why? What are you looking for? What are you looking for, Crazy Mug? I'm like very distracted. I completely forgot what I was supposed to be doing. I just started following shiny things and now I've lost my objective. You were 10, Hassan? Oh my god. No, wouldn't you have been less than? You would have been less than 10, because you're only 19 now. Did you guys have a good birthday, by the way? That picture you posted had so much food. Jargon and I were like, zooming in, looking at all the pictures. You're a new potato, but a happy potato. Thank you for being here. 25 days, 14 hours. Holy shit. Yeah, Jargon's like right at the top there. The only times he misses streams is like if he's out, which almost never happens, or if I stream early and he's asleep. Or when I accidentally bamboozle him. Oh no, wait, yesterday he missed some of the stream because apparently he didn't get a notification, so... Yeah, either I bamboozle him by starting early. Where the fuck am I supposed to be going? This is very confusing. It says up, but it says go deeper. Is this not deeper? Deeper in the wrong direction? Anyway. 9 days. Damn, Boba. Skill issue. Hassan, no! Mao has almost as many hours as Hassan. That's crazy. Where the frick frack knick knack tack tack paddywhack am I supposed to go? Eh? Oh, up. Okay. This is a little bit better. Oh, I vaguely remember coming here before. Oh, is something here? Okay. Oh, more up. Cool, cool, cool. This is fine. 11 days, 7 hours. Damn, Boba. I'm like in such a habit of saying damn, Boba. Okay, that one's nowhere yet. But okay, let's see if there's something on the other side. Ah, there's a spoopy spoop there! I wonder if that's for something. I thought I finished this one. Apparently not. You found it! Oh, yeah! Jargon said that earlier, Crazy Mug, sorry. Played Hades? I didn't play Hades on my first stream. I want to say I probably played Genshin, to be fair. I don't remember what I played in my first stream. There's a game called Heave Ho. I'd love to see you, Jargon, playing this game. It's really fun. Oh, yeah? Is it on Steam? Let me go have a look at it. How's it 9:15 already? Where did the day go? Fuck. Dreamlight Valley. I really want to play this game, but I also don't know when I'll find. I don't know when I'll find the time to play it. Steam Screamfest. I'm gonna look at that quickly, just to see what games they have. Cause Jargon and I looked before for like spooky games on Steam, and they had like a really shitty list, and I was just like, well, okay. Why do all of that? Oh, V Rising is on sale. It's literally horror games on fucking Steam. It's random, like, indie games, Resident Evil, and Dead by Daylight. And Faz. That's it. But I don't think V Rising's not really like a spooky game. All of it. Oh, that's so crazy. Death Stranding. Hollow Knight. All the Resident Evils. World War Z, they made a game of that. Vampire Survivors. Monster Prom. Sir Whoop-Ass. What the fuck? I want to play that. Sir Whoop-Ass. Bigfoot. Ghostbusters. Carrion. Monster Camp. That looks cute. Have a Nice Death. That looks adorable. What is that? Single player action roguelike 2D platformer. Overcooked. Overcooked isn't a spooky game, guys. What the heck? There's Vampires Sims pack. Did you guys know Sims 4 is now free to play? Why is Destiny 2 under this list? I'm dying. Okay, Elden Ring's here, but that makes sense. What did you say the game was? Sorry, I got very distracted. Heave ho. It's Jogging the heave and I'm the hoe. Oh, it's cheap as well. 10 out of 10. Oh my god, this looks ridiculous. I'm gonna put it on my wish list. After you bought it, then it becomes free to play. Oh no! Overcooked is spooky when you make the steak well done. This game looks good, Hassan. It's going to be added to the list of the never-ending list of games Jargon and I need to play together. We have a lot. There's a lot of games we need to play. What was that other game I said looked good? Now I don't remember what it was. Shit. Oh, it is V-Rising. V-Rising. Is this on my list already? If you ever play Overcooked, I can join you. We can. So, like, it's something that we want to play. But Jargon and I started a while ago. It's so difficult, though. Fuck. Is this already on my wish list? It's not. I'm going to throw it on anyway. Jargon, did we say we're going to start V-Rising because we can't get Valheim to fucking work? I can't remember. It's open world. How many people can you play with? Not because of Valheim, was just a plan for after. Yeah, but I mean the recent discussion we had because we couldn't get fucking... We couldn't get Valheim to work. So I think... Didn't I say we'll put it on the back burner until the update comes and then we'll play again? Okay. Cool. So I'll put them on the wish list. So I'll... When I get paid, Hassan, I haven't been paid yet. Them bitches owe me money. Them batches. We have 30 options, roughly. What toppings are good for vampire cookie? Definitely, you want to put the... What are they called? The raspberry ones. You want raspberry. You want... you probably want attack main stats, to be honest. I'll go look at my stats now for you. And I don't know if cooldown's good for him. The thing about Vampire Cookie, because he has that that candy now, at I think level 10 he gets a revive. So it's not so much an issue if he dies. If you use someone like fuck, what's her name? She's a popular tank at the moment. I just can't think what her name is. Oh, this is taking so long. Let me see if I can open it. I was gonna open it on my PC, it seems to be behaving itself now. So my... Oh, my espresso cookie has actually overtaken my vampire now for power. So yeah, it's... What is it? Searing raspberry. My attack is 56.3%. I have some other random stats as well, but honestly I was just prioritizing attack more than anything else. So on all of my pieces I have attack. And it looks like most of them are over 2. So I have 2.9, 1.3 on the one, 2.1, 2.2, 2.9. So I just went ham for attack stats. Yeah. I think maybe cooldown could be good on him. Obviously, because the more often he attacks, the better, but I don't think it's a priority. Still not as good. The thing is, like, the espresso cookie is really good for AoE damage, whereas vampire is good for single target. So I think they're as good as each other, they just perform different roles. So Hollyberry? What about Hollyberry? I don't use Hollyberry anymore. No. Full raspberry, Yoda. But I'm talking about like the substats when you level up the toppings. So you wanna prioritize attack substats and if possible cooldown, but honestly I literally just prioritized attack. I was like, Vampire Cookie doesn't need anything but attack, especially when you level up his candy or his toppings, because he just does a lot of damage. Why my voice crunchy, man? And this one? So yeah, that's what I would say. Vampire Cookie's fucking hella slaps, man. He's very good to take into boss fights. What's going on here? Oh. Okay. Yeah, I almost never use mixed builds. Well, I say almost, but I definitely never use mixed builds. Oh, that's what it was for. I know some people do. Oh yeah, the other cookie that I was talking about. So, Yoda, are you in my guild? I say my guild, but technically Jargon's looking after it for me at the moment. You are? Okay, perfect. So, Financier Cookie. Fuck. Screen brightness, please. I don't know if you can see her well enough. This one. She's really good at keeping someone alive. So she protects, if I'm not mistaken, the cookie with the highest attack. Yeah, the highest attack. So if you have a very strong but also very weak, very like fragile cookie, so I think she would be pretty good to use with pumpkin pie, because for my pumpkin pie I have full Ros, which means she's not very tanky. But she was one of my strongest cookies for the longest time. So I use the if I use Financier with her, it will keep her alive really, really well. Mine is not even like full leveled, and I use her for PvP, so she's a very good cookie. If you need help as well for the boss fights or the alliance stuff, I can send you like some comps that I use. Alright, so now I need to open these other doors. I don't know why, but my stomach is randomly hurting now and it's making me feel dizzy. But it's like intermittent as well, it's not like constant pain. You have Wildberry. Wildberry is also very good. I feel a little bit sad Hollyberry is not as like... I mean, there's nothing wrong with her. She's just not seen as a good one anymore, which is wild as fuck. But to be fair, Pure Vanilla kind of got replaced by the BTS cookies now, but before that it was Cotton. Cotton is like one of the most insane healers that we have. Cream Unicorn's also really good now. Because he has that silence, but I think he also has like a cleanse. So there's just like a lot of good things there. Oh, it's for me. Book call, no worries, Dragon. But yeah, I use Wildberry as well. He's a really good tank. Another one that's become good again is Purple Yam. So a lot of the cookies that got those candies, so Rye, Purple Yam, Vampire. Vampire was always good though, and Espresso. I think Espresso was still fine. But all of those cookies, they're actually doing really well at the moment in terms of being used because of the candies that they've gotten to like boost their damage or whatever. It's crazy. But yeah, I can show you everyone's reaction. Yeah. No one was that interested in Purple Yam, but he's actually really good. Like, it's crazy to consider, but he is actually really good. Does this go into one of these things at all, or...? Nope. We need to take it somewhere else, maybe? Whenever I see the enemies do that, I always panic that they're gonna explode on me. Okay. Guy just blew a hole straight through the wall. Cool. He reminds me of Inosuke in Demon Slayer, but less likable. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not that interested in him as like a cookie. Like, there's nothing wrong with him, but at the same time, I'm like, eh. He's like very aggressive. Let's see. I don't know where I need to take this, but let me take it again. Just in case I have somewhere else to use it. Nope, there's another one. Shit. Okay, this is fine. GG's, Hassan. You're gonna go back to study? No worries. I think I might actually... Might finish off with some cookies, actually. Why are there these triangles everywhere? I have no idea what to use them for. Yeah, I think I might actually... I might call the Genshin there just because... Don't end it! I'm not ending early! I'm just switching games, Hassan. I'm just switching games. Relax. Take it easy. You said you're gonna go, you're gonna go study anyway. It's okay, Hassan. I just wanna switch games. I want to see if I can get Cookie Run to run. I don't know if it will, but we're gonna try anyway. Cookie Run. Cookie Run? Yeah, we're gonna see if Cookie Run runs. Oh, is it Kingdom? Or... Today I learned. Is it working? It's not? Am I gonna get into trouble for that? Can I? I was gonna say, can I play this on stream? Not me just like fucking peeking there. Poor microphone. Okay, it's not, for whatever reason, it's not picking up the screen. But it's okay. I don't know if the sound is fine. Let's see. That should be fine. Yeah, we're not gonna oh shit. We're not gonna do any no BTS. No BTS. None of that. Because I'm gonna get into big shit for that. My whole account's just gonna go into the toilet. What did I get? Oh geez. It's showing me all the cookies that I got recently. When last did I log in? Holy shit. What is this? No, this is all old shit. Go away. Sure. Okay, so let's go look at PvP. Hi Spawn! Thank you for the bubbles! Hello, hello, how are you? Alright, so for PvP, this is my team currently. Which seems like a weird team. Because there's like 2 tanks. But Boobless! Who are you calling Boobless? How are you doing, Spawn? But yeah, this is what I use for PvP. So Vampire and Espresso, I also use Valencia. Dark Cacao, and RM! Not a Boobless again! Boobles? Did you mean to say Boobles? So that's my PvP team, and then what else was there? Oh, I'll take that. Oh, guild battles. Am I gonna be able to look at my teams, or... Oh. So this is my first team. It's literally just him by himself. Hi, Cupcake! Snoring is basically bragging about being asleep so loud that it stops other people from sleeping. It's like lying there screaming, I'm having a lovely sleep! Yes, exactly. Do BTS? No, I'm gonna get, my account's gonna get slammed. So this is my, what is this thing called? Living Abyss, or, yeah, Living Abyss team. So she keeps, Miss Ma'am alive, because she's a little bit squishy. Yeah, they just work really well together. So that's what I use for this one. And then, not much of a change. This one is for Dragon, I think. So, yeah. You can see I use Espresso and Vampire a lot. You did BTS? Wait, really? No ways. Don't earwax, Natato. What does that mean? Don't earwax? Dragon D's nuts! Anyway. I haven't made a team yet for Avatar of Destiny. I don't know how to fight this thing, I'm not gonna lie. Like, here's other people. Oh, is that a skin? Hello? I need it. Anyway, yeah. Other people in my guild have fought it. I haven't. Simply because I'm, like, looking at other people's damage and they're doing, like, 1,000,000. And I'm just like, shh. Oh, Kisa does really well. But yeah, you see, even Rye Cookie is getting used a lot. Vampire Cookie. This is basically just 2 supports and 3 wham bams. But yeah, it looks like Mia has a similar one. So yeah. Mythin? Should I look at Mythins? Mythin! Where you at, homie? Oh, there's Mythin. Oh, shit! Okay, so that's the team I'm gonna be doing then. Thanks, Mythin. If you need any builds or anything, just look and see what Mythin's using, because Mythin fucking destroys shit. Gmax gets earwaxed by Guria. It means gaslight. Oh god, no, please don't earwax me. Is this like a cartoony raid Shadow Legends? Llama, I don't... No, it's Cookie Run Kingdoms. So Cookie Run, I don't know how long Cookie Run's been around for. Look there, I'm number 5 for the damage. Yay! And there's Jargon just below me. So he's the leader at the moment. I'm the officer. But Mythin is our fucking gem. Mythin just fucking destroys no matter what Mythin does. The only place where Mythin is not first is actually Alliance, which is like amazing. So those are my teams, but a lot of these cookies are not built, so my score is not very good. How do I see? It's here, and here, and here. So I'm only 4th in the guild, but Jargon fucking slaps. You had a lucky as fuck run in Alliance. That's insane. Poor Mythin being 2nd. Oh my god, imagine. Imagine. But Yoda, can I show you something cool? Can I show you something cool, Yoda? Can I show you something cool? I'm very, very proud of myself. So you know, there was like a season that just passed now. For the BTS thing. Here. 0.71% and 0.68%. Which means I got the fancy titles for both of them. This one is my favorite though, the permission to dance. I'll show you why now. Never gotten that close again. Oh really? Oh fuck, man. What's your build? My favorite one is the permission to dance ones because they look like little spermies. Every time I looked at it, I was like, why did they use little sperms? And I was like, wait, it's balloons. But they look like little sperms. I thought that was fucking funny. You know, very, very mature of me. Biggest degen, yeah, definitely. But, yeah. So cookies I'm working on at the moment. Should I do some rolls, actually? So, I haven't done anything with him yet, but... Oh yeah, I got a skin for Mala recently, who I don't use. But ah, my game just crashed! Fuck. It's fine, we'll try again. That new cookie that came out, I don't know how to say his name, the K-count thing. Lower your FPS? I tried, and then the thing was like, no, you can't. Shh. Ah! Load screen, please! I don't want my account to get banned because it's playing music, because it's Cookie Run. Okay, guys, play some sound alerts or something to cover up the noise. No, no banning, please! I want to play Cookie Run! Sing? Absolutely not! That would make it worse, Yoda. Oh my god, because you know what? It's gonna cut the sound out. And when it cuts the sound out, all that's gonna be left is me squawking. Fuck. What a terrible suggestion to make, Yoda. Why would you even say that? Thank you, Cupcake. Why is it so loud? Oh my god. Sing, please? No. No, it's gonna get muted. No, actually. No. So the cookies I'm working on, please work. Oh wait, I said should I do pulls? Because look at this guy. I just realized he's a cupcake? That's like a cupcake. I thought it was like a cake hound or something. I don't know how to say his name. Imagine not having all of the cookies. Shut up, Joggin! Shut up! I'm missing one, Junk Cookie. You know what's really annoying about Junk Cookie? I have 2 skins for him. And I got 2 of this one as well. But no Junk Cookie himself. Fuck's sakes. You're the only cupcake? This is you, Cupcake. This is you in the game. He said something about chocolate cream there. I don't know what he said though. But yeah, so cookies that I'm wanting to work on at the moment. Let's see. Oh, currently working on her because I recently got her, as you can see. So her skill is only 61. I'm still leveling her skill. Hers is 57. Jim is paying off because you duck. And then who else am I working on? Oh yeah, this one as well. She's 58. I just don't have powders, man. I don't have powders. Oh, working on him as well. He's 52, but he's also only level 60, so it's fine. Like, he'll get there when he gets there. Who else? I wanted to build up... I had her in my hero tower thingy for a while, but I wasn't using her, and now I'm using her after I've taken her out. So she's only level 50. Who else? Okay, so cookies that I'm going to be building for Alliance. I think Squid Ink. She's so cute. You don't gym to be huge. Okay, I mean fair. This one, I need to level. I need to level him so I can make the candy. Same for Squid Ink. Need to level. Rye as well. Also, again, need to get to level 50 so I can make the candy for them. You just want a duck pick, yeah? It's not like I said duck, but anyway. And then also this one. Who, I don't know how he works. I don't know what he does. For whatever reason, I almost got him to 4 stars though. I don't know if I just got really lucky with him or what, but yeah, so this is another cookie that I need to work on. And lilac cookie and red velvet. So these are all the cookies I'm using at the moment for Alliance. I don't think I'm using any of these other ones. Oh wait, there is one more. What does she look like? Oh, Kumio. Which, it's funny because she used to not be good. People were like, wow, she's the most garbage cookie. And I leveled her to 30 like immediately and I was like, yay! And then everyone was like, oh yeah, she's garbage. Oh, I need to do mint as well. My beautiful boy. So yeah. She was used for one-shot teams? Yeah. Why did y'all make me restart? Because, Yoda, you are literally on a server with your friends with a really strong guild. That's why. That's why we made you restart. You want cookies now? Why does my house suck for junk food? Mine too, actually. My house sucks for junk food. I hate all these, like, little, like, new things. Oh! I'm missing one. I might actually buy that for espresso, actually. Because I use him a lot now. I use him in everything. It would be nice to have a skin for him, I think. I finally got the whole Halloween shebang. Very happy about that. What else? You only have 5 kinda built cookies? No, but that's fine, Yoda, because we'll carry you. Like, for the... As long as you just do the attacks, doesn't matter. We'll carry you for the guild battle. Like, look at this shit. We're Master 4. So that means you get these rewards as well, as long as you do the attacks. That's a lot of gems. You can use that. Get more cookies. Make them stronger. Keep going. Can't stop, won't stop. Look at that cool statue. You don't even have to do a lot of damage. Just do something. That stupid Raspberry Knight thing. What? Raspberry Knight? This one? Wildberry. Master Jean wannabe? Oh, Raspberry! Oh yeah, I don't use her. Like, I haven't leveled her anything. Yeah, there's a lot of cookies that I don't use. He's literally just got levels on him because I keep sending him in the balloon. I said I was gonna... Should I do a couple rolls? I can do some. What did I wanted to check? There's his skin. I'm kind of tempted to buy it, to be honest. It's that or Sorbet Shark, but I'm not actually using Sorbet Shark that much. You can't beat her? Oh, like in the story. Yeah, no, she's cuck hard in the story. She's actually very irritating. Yeah, I'm buying this, actually. Fuck yeah. Like, he has this skin, but this looks very nice. This looks amazing. It matches with my, my pretty boy. Where is he? He's so cute, man. But yeah, them schmancy boys in their white outfits. Yeah. So, anyway. Oh, I'm getting distracted here. The story... Uh-oh. Is it gonna crash? Do you remember where she is? Oh! Fuck. It crashed. Sag. Rip. I do need to go soonish, but... I don't know why it's so unstable. Yeah, I mean, I tried to fiddle with the settings, but it didn't seem to help mine. Nah! Okay, we're not gonna do this again. We're gonna talk over... It doesn't work this way, does it? Because people's VODs get muted all the time anyway. I'm not gonna lie. Because I played so much... Hey! Ayayo! Ayaya! Ayayo! Ayaya! Ayayo! Ayaya! 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 Thank you, Yoda. Also, how cute is this fucking merch? Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't know who these other cookies are, but I want the little doll! Onion's little bunny doll? How fucking cute! The keychain's also very cute, but like, oh. Anyway. Calm down. Fuck, man. This game is adorable. It's very, very fucking cute. Oh yeah! Can I open this safely? Yes. There's all my babies. Look at this bullshit. Look at Jimin. 2-star. Jimin 2-star. No star. No junk cookie. Fuck. And then I have 10 costumes as well. I'm pissed, man. You gotta go. You got load shedding. Ah, Cupcake. I have to go soon as well. But yes, thank you. Thank you so much for chilling out with us tonight. Always a vibe. Always in the shadows. No worries, Cupcake. It's all good. If you just want to lurkies, if you just want to park ass, yeah, that's all good. But yeah, take care of yourself. Have a good evening. Best of luck for the load shedding. Yoda's gonna fight you tomorrow. Look at my babies. They're so cute. I love the sprinkles in their hair. And the everything is like cake and stuff. Oh, it's so cute. I love this game. This is one of my favorites. Cream Unicorn. He turns into a unicorn sometimes when he's like walking around. I think you just have to wait for them to do it. But he turns into a unicorn. Tomorrow we throw hands. Oh shit! Am I invited to the fight? Can I watch? There, he's a unicorn. Did you guys see? Fuck. He did that on purpose. Okay, let's do some polls. Just see if we get lucky. No! Okay, that's not a good sign. Basically what that means is I got shat on. Okay, not completely shat on at least. Okay, bye! Bye, Cupcake! Have a lovely evening. This is the reason why I can handle not pulling in Genshin. Oh! Okay, I'll take that! Because I play this game. I play this game. And it means that I don't have to do anything in Genshin. Because this quenches the thirst. You can watch me lose. Oh no, why are you gonna lose, Yoda? Should do another one. Oh! Oh! Hello? Junk cookie? I wish it worked that way. Let's go, boy. I'm playing this now, but I'm absolutely going to go lay in bed after stream and play more of this. So I can actually go play the BTS songs. Oh! I don't think I've actually seen his cutscene. Ah! I haven't seen it. Nice! 28 out of 100. Ginger Brave! Oh! How do you say his name? Schwarzwalder? I can't read German words. Ayo! I'll take that. You'd pronounce the R? Did I not? Oh! Oh! Kokodayo? Oh, okay. Well, fine, whatever. Let me live my life, man. Noise. Minus the K. Walder. Walder! See, the problem is, because I'm South African, I'm gonna roll the R, which I'm not supposed to do, so... As a German, you pronounce the R? Yeah, but I roll it as a South African, so that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna fly, Cupcake. Hello? Okay, I was about to say, where's my big boy? Please? Oh! 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 How much have I got? No, not enough yet! Oh, it's 33 out of 40. Fuck, okay. I got very excited So even though I don't use affogato, I do really like this cookie because of the dots. Which is a pity that I don't use it, but I do really like cookies that have dots. Yeah, 33 out of 40. So close. Woo! Again? Please. I'll take that. Drive by boop before power goes out. Ah, Lich, have a wonderful evening. Best of luck with the load sheddings. Come on, man. Give me the boy. I need the boy. This is not the boy. Give him to me. This is also not the boy. Yo, are you tired, homie? Thank you, Joggin. Ah, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, homies. Chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the raid, Brainman. Brainman, you need to stop finishing your streams before me, because how am I ever supposed to raid you back if you're always finishing before me? You were playing Boomin? What on earth is Boomin, and how was your stream? Thank you, Jargon. Hi, Trigger and Jargon. Welcome from the Brainman raid. You had to stop early. Was man down all day? Oh no! Are you not feeling well, Brainman? Also, we got Mince Choco, who is my namesake, unintentionally. I didn't know there was a I didn't know there was a cookie called Mint Choco. But you know, Boomin is the scariest game I've ever played. No ways. Really? What is this? Good luck. Yeah, I feel better, man. Sorry to hear that. Shit. Just feeling under the weather. You slept most of the day? Wow, I definitely sending you all the good jujus. I hope you feel better. Especially on a Tuesday. No one wants to feel yucky on a Tuesday. Gross. Of all the days. Thank you, Joggin. What were you playing? Oh, you're playing Fortnite? Oh, shit! We got the boy! We got the boy! I've had weirdly good luck. I should pull on stream more often, apparently. Okay, we're at 52 out of 100. What? Twizzly? Avocado. I know a lot of people are using him in PvP at the moment. The imposter. He is kind of. Because he's not actually a cookie. He's the only one who's not a cookie. Everyone else is a cookie. Cookie, 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 cookie. They all have cookie in the name. Ah, even RM cookie. Jimin cookie. Sugar cookie, J-Hope cookie, V cookie, Jin cookie. Oh. Yeah. Onion cookie. I'm curious what an onion cookie is. Oh wait, Ginger Brave. Ginger Brave is also not a cookie. Yeah, so it's only pain. it's only Ginger Brave and I'm gonna call him Choco. Choco. What is Gingerbread if he's not actually a cookie? Yeah, no worries, Trigger. How are you doing? So yeah, this is Cookie Run. I love this game very much. I play it a lot. Currently enjoying the BTS collab as well. Yeah, I don't think... I guess I could do PvP. Oh, it's already 10 o'clock though. He's a biscuit? This is obviously a bait. But it's fine. Look at my boy in his cute outfit. Ah! He looks like a little sailor. I'm very happy with that skin. Trigger be man down too? No! Sorry to hear that, Trigger. It came out of nowhere. I was fine before load shedding, took a nap, and woke up with cold sweats, body ache, and coughing. Oh my goodness. Oops. I'm just dropping my shit. I just put junk teams on defense so I can do revenge fights. Oh, I hate that though. I almost never go into the revenge fight screen, so... I mean, I have a lot apparently. How did I defend against this? What the fuck? I have such a garbage defense team as well. Like, why? What is this? For who? Yeah, feel better soon, Trigger. That's an awful way to wake up, definitely. Let's see. This looks a little bit spicy, to be honest. In fact, it looks quite similar to my setup. Let's see what they've got. Wait. Yes, Daddy? Hello? How is Cookie Run on PC? Blue stacks. This is a fucking mess. My god. Phew. Oh. Do you play Cookie Run as well, Daddy? Ew. It's always so spicy. No mobile games for you? Do you have Gamba problems, Daddy? But if you do end up playing Cookie Run, if you play it on PC, and if you're on Hollyberry, we have a server. Oh, we have a server. We have a guild. Okay. I mean, fair enough. I'm surprised you knew the game then. Have you watched other people play it? Oh, this is basically just the team that we fought now. Very similar, very similar. They just use unicorn. Ugh. This is spicy meatballs. God. Yo! 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 They're wiping me out. They've just got tanks left now. Shit. That was intense, bro! You hear news here and there and your title says it. Game title? Oh, okay. I mean, fair. Let's go. This tank, honestly. Oh my god. That was a toit battle, man. That was a really toit battle. Shit. But yeah. I don't fight people who have a higher score than me. Even if I could possibly beat them, I ain't taking that risk, man. No ways. I'm not gonna buy the rest. Jin's going off, you're heading off. I actually need to head off as well, to be fair. But yes, take care. Have a lovely, lovely evening, Yoda. Yeah, I really like this game. It's a lot of fun. And because of the BTS collab at the moment, I'm very enjoying it. But yeah, let us prepare to skidoodle skidoodle. We can just put that away. And we can just have the cookie music running in the background because it's actually really cute. Let's see. My favorite thing is lurking in streams, in other people's streams, and then you just magically land up in places at the end of it. Anyway. JP! Hello! Hi, how are you? Let's see. Your hair is like one of those cars with the cool paint. My hair? Just in time to raid? Yeah, sorry JP. we're gonna be heading out soon. Once I find me a victim. Yeah, I'm doing good. My stomach's a little bit sore at the moment. I don't know why. I was feeling a bit dizzy earlier, which is why we're playing Cookie Run now, but you know. Let's see. I just want to check this streamer. I just want to see. Because I feel like it's a weird hour for them to be streaming. Did they just start, or? You gonna stay for the raid? Alright. No worries, no worries. Okay, so there's a really cute streamer. Looks like she's basically just started streaming. She is a VTuber from Japan. She does speak English. She speaks English very well, actually. And her streams are so nice to just have on in the background. And she's also just really cute. So, like, that's where we're gonna go. Her name is Kotoki. Kotekiro. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she plays a lot of Genshin Impact as well. So, well, the only time I've watched her streams, she's always been playing Genshin Impact. So, that's where we're gonna go. No, there's only one raid message, Daddy. I haven't gotten around to making another one for subs. So, for the moment, we just have the one. But yeah. Cool. Let me set that up. I should be streaming again tomorrow for those peepos who also play Genshin Impact. Or like do boss fights with me. We will be doing boss fights tomorrow. Probably I'll do dailies and then we can do boss fights after that. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for chilling. It was a lot of fun. We got some stuff done, I think. I hope. I'm not too sure. But yes, very nice to see you all. Very nice to chill together. For those of you going into load shedding, or if you're already being load shed, I hope it ends swiftly and you get your power back when you're supposed to. But yes, all of you, please do take care. Have a lovely, lovely evening. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Bye. I'm looking for the end one. There we go. Bye. You also have load shedding? Shit. Natato bullies us if we don't... Daddy, no! Not that one. This is the only raid message. I'm gonna time you out, Daddy, if you use that one. Alright. Go be nice. Kotoki's very sweet. But yes, we're gonna go give love to her. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.